we thank all of you tuning into tonight's program here on the Lime Time Podcast Network. Before we officially begin, we pay honor, respect, and salute the greatest nation in the world as we play our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for that ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the brave.
Hey now, good evening this evening. Hey everybody, welcome. It's your Thursday night ritual is back here on the Lime Time Podcast Network. Tonight is episode 9 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. We thank you everybody for being here. And hey, decided to change up the get up here a little bit. It seemed it was a little not enough of wrestling memorabilia here that involved me, so hey, I had to go and tweak it a little bit. But back from vacation, well-deserved vacation. In fact, hold on. I meant to do this. Just give me 1 second here. GQ can wait down, give a damn. Here we go. There you go. I'm still on vacation. Screw it. There you go. Got my little vacation hat on. So, glad to see everybody here. My name is Rough Cut Rick Ruby, and of course I am one of your co-hosts here for this event of the evening. And, of course, with every episode of the Falls County Everywhere podcast. And joining me on the other side, who I did not miss at all. And the reason why I say that is because as soon as I knew I got back in town, my stress level went up 300% within 24 hours, and he is the cause. So that's Mr. GQ, Matthew Wayne Schuyler III. And please don't break the mirror, sir. If you break the mirror, I'm not going to pay for it. So that's probably be like the 12th one you had to break if I'm keeping track on that. So what you got to say, man? Come on.
I ain't got to say nothing. You know, you could, because I heard Corona was going around Branson. You know, maybe you caught it.
No, I did not catch it. In fact, I feel, trust me, I would know if I got Corona or not. You know, it's not an easy thing to deal with this whole situation with coronavirus and everything else. And, well, you know.
Well, and by the way, you wanted to update your office, you know.
Yeah, hey, that's a nice view. You know what? Honestly, I'm tired of seeing those damn hotel curtains. You every freaking week. It's like it's something different. It's either you clean them or you don't clean them, or you go to a different room. You know, I mean, I just don't get you, man. But it's good that finally, hopefully, that's a stable place for you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Were you pointing at something? You flipped me off again.
You go on and talk while I go get something that'd be a lot better on the camera. Hold on.
Oh, okay. All right. So GQ's no, okay. I guess GQ's got to go get something now since I wanted to get my my vacation hat on. So for those listening, let's see on Facebook. Yeah, comment in the section here. I thought we were going to have. Oh, what's that? Is that you?
I have my own pop figure and you don't.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got too busy for that. So, you know, I don't want no people popping me. I want no people popping my pop figure. So.
No, I'm just saying you've never had a pop in your life anyway. So.
Oh Lord, here we go. All right. Yeah, we're going to talk about some other pops here throughout the podcast, and I'm excited here. We're devoting this entire podcast here tonight to our guests who are patiently waiting here for this. So we're going to get on and introduce our guest here for the evening. And our first, one of our guests here, hailing from the valleys of Skull Canyon, Arizona, has been involved with the wrestling business for over 22 years, wrestled against multiple WWE Hall of Famers, captured over 30 championships throughout his career, spanning over the Midwest. He became the inaugural member of the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2015. He's the current owner and promoter of American Championship Wrestling based here in the state of Missouri. Our other guest is a second-generation wrestler and graduate of the Jacobs Pritchard, Wrestling Academy in Knoxville, Tennessee, trained by Dr. John Pritchard, Kane, Cowboy Bob Orton, and of course, her dad, which we'll get into that. She's only been wrestling in the ring for about 2 years, but has competed in 5 states already. She's the first ever American Championship Wrestling Women's Champion. And both of our guests are currently playing the theme, or at least one of their themes now. They host the Searcher and Hyde podcast that can be found on multiple platforms, including Podbean and Spotify. I give to you our featured guest of the evening, and of course the stars of the Searcher and Hyde podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the Searcher and Miss Hyde. Guys, how you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you very much for joining us here for tonight. And how you guys been handling everything now that everything's been pretty much been on hiatus thanks to this freaking manipulative virus, if I can say that correctly. God, I can't say a lot of things right. But anyway, how you guys doing, and how you been handling your time and everything?
Well, I'm doing just fine, but you forgot a little thing. I am the PCW champion in Arkansas.
Oh, PCW. Okay. Yeah, I did forget that. Of course, I tried to research a lot, and especially when I try to come back from vacation, I try to come back big, and I know I'm going to mess something up. GQ knows this.
Well, it's a recent change, so you may have missed that.
Yeah.
I got news for you, Rough Cut. She busts my balls every second on the podcast. She's going to do the same to you. So
It's my job.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I know. But hey, at least if anything goes wrong here at the show, I'm the one to blame because I'm the one with all the technology. Unless you always are blaming Rick on your podcast. So.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you guys need a Rick.
And trust, by the way, I'm not the Rick they're talking about, okay? So I'm not messing up everything podcast-wise. So...
Nick, I mean, we're Nick.
Nick,
Rick
Prick, whatever.
Well, Rick has actually worked in Hollywood. He worked on a lot of movies and stuff. He's actually helped produce, like, some albums and stuff from some pretty big, famous people. He's a friend of mine from a long, long time ago. I do give Rick shit, but we would be nothing without him. So Rick Jones is one of the best. And now he is moody at times, but I want to say, since I said such nice things about Rick, I want to say something about you guys. I love you guys' show. I love what you do. I love the atmosphere of it. I still can't figure out what's behind that window with the ruby there. I'm pretty sure it's always closed. I'm not sure what's out there, but
it's bars. It's bars.
Exactly. But the two of you guys, the way your show, I really enjoy your show. I've always been a big GQ fan and a Rough Cut Rick Ruby fan. I mean, Rough Cut,
he's got 50% good taste.
Well, exactly. But it's the first time I ever got into the business. Rough Cut was champion in a group called 3D in Central States Wrestling Alliance. And GQ, I've known him forever, and I've seen him manage some of the biggest names in the business. And then to see you guys go on and do this kind of show here, the way you handle yourself, the professionalism, the way you keep everything even key and very entertaining. I'm very proud to be on your show, and we just thank you for letting us come on your show tonight.
Oh, man, yeah, absolutely. And it's, we're going to have a lot of fun.
He's got taste, I'll give him that.
Hey, I try to find the most tasteful guests out there, Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I mean, Bill Alfonso was definitely a gem in the, diamond in the rough, and getting him on the show, and it was pretty cool to have him. But I mean, I'm definitely ultra excited to have you guys on. So we're kind of getting into the here, so I'm going to alternate, because I got questions, of course, for both of you. Some questions are going to be involved for both of you, and then of course questions are just for you, one of you specifically. So, all right. So basically, starting from the beginning here, and I'll alternate between between you, Searcher, and then of course, then going over to Miss Hyde here. But tell us how it all began with your, with your world of wrestling. Like, Searcher, when did you start watching wrestling?
Yesterday, I think it was. I watched. I think I actually have not watched wrestling longer than I did watch wrestling, but because it's hard when you. I want to get this out there too, because people do this to me all the time. Hey, Searcher, did you see what such and such did, or what do you think of this guy? Because as soon as I got into the business, I stopped watching wrestling, and people are like, why? Because you hate wrestling? No, I love wrestling, and I do watch wrestling whenever I have a chance, but I can't watch wrestling now or when I'm in the business because I never want to rip people off. And when we do watch wrestling, I see this a lot. A lot of guys, sometimes they don't even know it. They imitate wrestlers that they watch. So unfortunately, I can't watch wrestling because I'm a promoter and I'm a booker and I write stuff. So I don't watch any other wrestling. So I don't get to watch it. But when I first started watching wrestling, the first memories I have of wrestling is watching wrestling at my grandfather's house. And it was the very first thing I kind of remember is watching wrestling either on TV, which was, I think it was Ric Flair and Harley Race, or actually being down at the Checker Dome with my dad and my mom and them, and we were watching it live. So probably about 5 or 6 years old. So it was either live or it was on TV, but I'm pretty sure it was live, but it could have been either one.
Okay. Miss Hyde, when did you start watching wrestling?
So my first kind of memories of ever watching wrestling, I was about 3 or 4. It was before Searcher ever started wrestling. I just remember him sitting in the chair, and I was sitting on the floor, and we were watching Undertaker and Kane, and I don't remember anything else besides that. And then the next time I remember wrestling is going to the very first show where he actually met Frank Reed and was going to start wrestling for him.
Yeah. And Ruby was on that card, too.
Oh, yeah. That's
the one where you left him in the...
No, that was not the one I left him at the parking lot.
where they say Columbia. No.
Did you remember that, Ruby? Did you remember that?
You know what? I didn't until it was brought up. Like when you had your podcast with Frank Reed, I'm like, how can I forget? How can I forget that? Like I couldn't get my car started, and yet somebody's like, I'm like, kind of hoping I get help, and like, nope.
There's a part of that story which you don't remember. Is I was this green, wrestler, and that show there alone, Ruby. I'm going to do a podcast all alone because that's the night. You remember you said, "Look, Gatekeeper's wearing his grandma's nightie." You remember? That was the night Moose Miller went off the chain. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But what you don't remember about that story is I go up to you or something, I can't remember what it was, and you told me, "Get the hell out of my way, rookie," or I think it was pasty meat or something. I don't know what it was. And then somebody said, Frank says, "You rented a car to come up here?" And my car, I had a jalopy, so I didn't have much of a car, so I had to rent a car to come up there. And you rented a car to come to Columbia? Fucking newbies or some shit like that. And then it was kind of sweet revenge because you're broke down. Driving away.
Yeah.
I feel bad about that. I really do.
Yeah, what are you going to kid
Oh, I wouldn't at all. I wouldn't. That's just karma right there.
Yeah.
Well, I gave him a ride one time, and I had a trench coat at the time, and I said, "So, you've been in the business a long time. How do you think I'm doing?" And you go, "Man, pretty good for a fat Sting." I was like, "You bastard." You should get a bat, but like two of them because you're twice his size, you said to me. You're such a jerk.
Oh, God. I know. What do you do with a guy who's like 20, almost turning 23, and he's got more testosterone than brains? But, You were the first guy to ever jump on me because of something I screwed up too. You remember that in Bowling Green where you yelled at me and Damian Blade? Oh, okay. Let's talk about that real quick, okay? Because I'm sitting here.
I'm going to sit back for this one.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. We just got done doing the fair. It's outside. And my gear back then was a cutoff shirt and like jeans and these boots and. We're out in that freaking damn horse farm, or whatever it is. I done got, rolled around in it, and I'm like all dirty. I'm sweaty. I feel like crap. And it's like the next thing I know, I'm trying to get dressed, and here's out there these. At that time, I'm like, who are these guys? Which ended up turning out to be Searcher and Blade that are freaking tombstoning and choke slamming each other and just bouncing right back up, like in front of a big crowd of people. I'm like. And this was back when a certain female was pretty more, Miss K was more present these days, or those days. And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Excuse my language, sorry. I'm like, what the hell are they doing out there? I'm like, get them out of the ring. It's like... No,
you didn't say get them out of the ring. You came and got us out of the ring.
Well,
you were right. And we weren't even doing them right because... we were making sure we were like a foot away from the mat on the tombstones. We were just being dumbasses is what we were doing. And
typical.
Yeah, and because there was no way we were going to do the tombstone for real. We'd break one another's necks.
I know.
And when you came out there, dude, you just but you know what? We said, two things we learned. One, we really screwed up, and we never did that again. We started to learn the business. And two, don't F with Rough Cut Rick Ruby.
So you learned three things. When he was running out, you learned that fat men can run at times. So
I never would mess with Ruby because I was doing security one time in Overland, and poor Johnny D. I think it was either Johnny D or drill instructor. I can't remember. But I'm sitting in my security chair, ready to go at any moment, in my large shirt that was way too small, with my sleeves rolled up because I thought I was Kevin Nash. Anyhow, drill instructor or Johnny D is crawling towards me, and Ruby takes his chair, and I kid you not, he hit him so hard on the back that everyone in the front, the guys who had hats on, they blew off. I mean, it was like a concussion. And I was like, I will never mess with this man if there's a chair within 10 feet.
Oh, yeah.
You should read the drill instructor's book when he talked about how Ruby took a chair shot. Okay, that's even funnier. He's actually mentioned in that book.
Really? I didn't even know he had a book. Huh. I gotta get a book.
Yeah, it came out. 10 years
book.
ago. Yeah, imagine. If you had your back to, you could have swelled that a 12 gauge went off in the gymnasium, and you're ducking and covering.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how hard it was. So
it was, and that's the days when we went. You know, I hate to say it, but we didn't hold back on anything. We really went at it a lot. It was as if we were all trained by the Von Erichs. I'm gonna kill you.
God,
I was going to say trained by Brody or somebody like that, you know. But
well, the old days, that's how when wrestling was great. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you're in the small arenas. Okay, I've been in the big arenas and I've been in the small arenas, and I tell people as I train today that when you're in a small place where you got maybe 100 to 150 people, dude, they can hear everything and they can see everything. So you got to bring it. You can't go out there and just lob them in there or pretend. You got to go out there and give them what they paid for. And a lot of guys miss that. Because in a big arena, we've all been down at the big arenas, and you can't really hear and you can't really see too good. You can get away with a lot. And camber on TV, they do camera angles. But on a live show in a gymnasium or something like that, you guys, all four of us here know you got to bring it.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
If you don't hear something, then they know something is wrong, or something is not quite kosher.
Right.
Very true.
So,
But by the way, just so you know, this is the book that Drill Instructor wrote. If you wanted to see it, just another commercial here for the book. So.
Okay, I didn't. Miss Hyde got the phone. She's hogging it. She's
yeah,
staring
blood
at it.
tables and chairs. You can find it.
Hold
on
it
Amazon.
up. Hold it up again there. Hold it up again.
There'll be a delay, so she'll see it
All
twice.
right, now put it on your head. Dude, let's get some heat from him. Set it on fire. See what he does.
It took me 5 years to get the book signed by him. Okay, I'm not burning this thing.
I thought you were going to say it took you 5 years to get it from Amazon, because sometimes that's how it is.
No, actually, I get this from Amazon. I actually got this from an actual bookstore.
That's great, man. That's great.
On sale, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, at least it costs more than Jericho's book. I mean, at least Jericho's book was found in Dollar Tree, so that lion.
Well, I got a book out there, but it's more of a pamphlet. So.
Right. Oh shoot. So, Miss Hyde, who are your favorite wrestlers growing up that you liked watching?
You better say me.
That's really hard because, as Searcher said, once he started wrestling, we didn't watch much wrestling. And then at the shows, I was so young that I kind of sat in the corner and I played. So
that is weird.
I had my Barbies. They were wrestling each other, so I guess Barbie and Ken, I don't know.
So Ken always lost? So. Oh.
No, I don't know if I could say someone that, like, a big name that I was interested in when I was younger. I know I always liked, Kane and Undertaker. I liked the characters, that kind of stuff. As a kid, that's what attracted me to wrestling.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, and like I said,
I say this, guys, that it's amazing she became a wrestler because she wouldn't even dress out for her gym class in school. I'm telling you, dude, she would actually pay people to come clean her bedroom for her, okay? But
don't be mad because I'm smarter.
Yeah. But
I'm going to give her all the credit in the world because I did the same stuff. So
there you go. But wrestling's a calling, And then I would never force anyone, because you guys know my son, and there's nothing physical that boy couldn't do. He was doing springboards and double moonsaults and stuff, but he would never get into business. But you can't force someone to get in or do something. I never did that to my kids. I didn't do it with music. I didn't do it with wrestling, and I won't do it in the assassin business either. But if they choose to, they can do that. So.
Yeah.
And for
Wow.
some reason, I chose wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to go in while I'm still kind of thinking about this here, Miss Hyde. So, because I was going to ask you, growing up through school, if you considered yourself the athletic type, but if you didn't like dressing up for gym class, I don't know how to interpret that, if you were or not.
I was not athletic at all. The only time that I actually became athletic, kind of in high school, was I was a pulley for the Marines for a year, my senior year, and we worked out every week. You know, we did running and all that kind of stuff because I was preparing to go into the Marines.
Yeah.
But that's the only activity I ever did. I played soccer when I was in kindergarten.
You danced on the field.
I danced in soccer.
It was great. I used to go pick her up from, watching her, and they would always come back to the recruiter shack, running. And usually Vaughn would be up front. I'm like, I'm so proud she's up front there. And then I figured out she's in basically a group of men. And now I know why Vaughn is the one always in front. I was like, you Marines, you sons of bitches, no matter what.
Wow. So, oh, wow. So, I lost my place here. Sorry. So, obviously, you weren't the athletic type, so I'm not going to.
She was. Don't let her fool you. She always was athletic. She could do anything. She was a hell of a dancer. She could kick. She could do all kinds of stuff. It's not that she couldn't do it. She just wouldn't do it.
Oh,
So.
Oh, I get that. It's like, oh, you're good at this. I'm like, well, I don't know if I really like it, but yeah, I get that.
I wish I could go back and change that and actually have been in sports, because now that I'm older, I'm like, man, I wish I played softball. I wish I played soccer, all that stuff.
Yeah.
GQ thinks the same thing.
No, I can tell you that's a hard no when it comes to
I'm too pretty to get sweaty, okay? I'm just going to say it right there.
Yeah, I'm too pretty. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm too pretty too. That's pretty ridiculous from what you just said. So,
You're going to get them canceled.
yeah.
No, they can't get canceled. We can get canceled.
Yeah. So I got one for Miss Hyde, and I'm going to be doing a couple here for Searcher. Actually, I'll be asking one for Searcher. Then GQ's got something for him. So, so we kind of know how Searcher got to start wrestling and how I shouted at him and called him a rookie and a jabron. But
Yeah.
so Miss Hyde, kind of take us how you, knowing that your dad had wrestled. How did you get your start in the wrestling career?
So I went a really long time of not liking wrestling much at all. Actually, for a couple of years, I didn't even go to any of his shows that he had. And then I had some stuff happen, and I felt like I had so much time on my hands and too much on my mind that I felt like I needed an outlet. And I tried at 24, I was trying softball, and I coached soccer, and I did all kinds of odd things to try to fill my time. And then I decided, well, you know what? Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. is going to do a seminar with my dad, and I'll just give it a try. If I don't like it, oh well, it's just another thing I did. Well, that day I fell in love with it. So, and I didn't think I was going to. And then they asked me to, just kind of be a manager that night for Frost. And I went out and did that, and I was like, oh my God, I think I really like this. I like being next to the ring. So for a little bit, I was just a manager for, a couple of guys. I would go out with them and do that kind of stuff. And then I actually started training with my dad. And not long after that, we got the call from Glenn that he needed a girl down at JPWA, and I changed my whole life around just to make it happen.
Perfect.
Well, it was Mark. Mark Morton was the big one on that. He's like, dude, and I told her too. I mean, I never made it in the business. Now, granted, I did a hell of a lot, but I never made it. And to me, making it is you work for a while for the WWE. I had developmental stuff, and I worked for a lot of people, and I did everything you could think of. In fact, a lot of things I did, a lot of people around this area, because I tried to leave this area as much as I could. I didn't get into wrestling in my hometown, or at least 50 miles. I wanted to leave. But I told her forever that you've got to go find. That's why I would go to Michigan up with Dan Sevens and train. That's a long trip to do that. When Harley had World League down there, that's a long trip too. But the deal is you got to travel. And I was telling her, you have to find someone who's really established in the business if you want to make it in this. And Mark, Glenn called. Mark and Glenn was talking, and then, we're going to take kayfabe here. Kane and Marcus Mansfield was talking about it. And he goes, wow, I think I know somebody. And then boom, that's how it happened. And that's how you do it. You've got to you've got to be trained, at the best around you at that level. But then you have to, at some point, spend the money or make the travel to get trained by people who's actually danced the dance, and made a living at it. And that's important.
And Dr. Tom and Glenn Kane were wonderful. It was an amazing experience. I don't regret a second of going down there. I have made amazing connections with them. And the people in Tennessee, there's so many promotions that I can reach out to at any time and, do something with it. And I love everything that I got from JPWA, 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean and we'll come back to that here in a moment, because I wanted to ask you a couple things about that. Searcher, getting back to you, who would you consider to be your biggest in-ring rival?
Of all time?
Yeah, throughout your entire career, who would you consider to be your biggest in-ring rival?
My gear. It was either ripping or falling apart or knee pads. You know how that is. You know what I'm talking about. I'm kidding. But you look down, your boots untied. No, not the gear. I had so many. I really had a thing. I had a lot of things with a lot of people, and I would say the best guy, probably the guy I had the biggest rival with for so many years and so many different times, that would probably be Damian Blade, the Butcher. Dan Severn I had a lot of feuds with Bob Orton, before we even started the Icons, and in between we went at it a lot. I had a lot, but I would say consistently, me and Damian Blade probably tried to kill one another more than anybody else at any other time. So yeah, it would probably be me and Damian. Got a little personal. It did get personal a lot. It did. So.
Yeah. And let's see. Would you consider him to be your best opponent for you, or did you have what opponent that you had wrestled with kind of made you shine better? Throughout your matches?
I'm going to have to say something that so many times on the podcast I've interviewed people, and one of the questions we ask is, what was your best match? And what was the best match you ever seen on your level? And so many times people have said with Searcher, or like Frank Reed said that match between, Searcher and Greg the Hammer was, and I was shocked. I'm always shocked by that stuff. But the deal is with me though, is Ruby, you and I, it seems like every time we had a match, it was my favorite match afterward. Every time I wrestled, there's been so many times with Blade, it was my favorite match. Christian Hayes, Curtis Payne.
The fighting backstage with Chris Paul. But anyway,
that's for sure. But what I'm saying is almost everybody I wrestled, I think I just loved, now there was some guys that I wrestled. Some guy, Bob Orton only talked negative about one guy, and I will not say his name. We all know him though. But as all the years I wrestled with the Cowboy Bob Orton, and we wrestled a lot of guys that were green, and we wrestled a lot of guys that were crowbars. We wrestled a lot of guys that should have never been in the ring. Bob Orton never said a negative word about anyone, but one guy, and that guy was the only guy. Well, wasn't the only guy, but he was one of the guys that was very hard. Some guys don't get the business no matter how long they've been into it, and they're too self-centered, and it's a give and take out there, and unless you're just shooting, and sometimes Ruby, you know what this is like to be in a match and you're in a shoot match, but the only one of you know it.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
That's happened a lot. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to say, I'm very fortunate that I haven't had to come across that too much, but I know when it's happened. And, I give, like, I will say, though, I'm nice, and I give two chances for redemption. Third strike, you're out, and it's balls to the wall. I'm sorry. But if I knock you silly, you know why. Well, hopefully you'll know why. But some people don't get that, but unfortunately.
Well, yeah. And there's so many different avenues of it. Like say you're going into some federations they set everything up, which kind of drives me crazy. So they're like, yeah, you're going to take his title, and because he's uglier and meaner or bigger than you. But that guy don't want to lose it, so he's like, well, if he's going to take it, he's going to earn it. And I understand that, and I'll take a beating. I get that. But some people take it too far, and like you said, and maybe you even told me, because somebody told me this, they got 3 strikes. You warn them the first time, then you really warn them the second time, and then you beat the hell out of them. And that's what you do.
Yep. I usually like to do an extra stiff clothesline. Usually that's my favorite, and then because trust me, if someone's throwing potatoes at me, I'm going to throw a whole sack of potatoes back.
I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad match, dude. And every time I've ever wrestled you, it has been golden. I mean, dude, I saw you wrestle down at Broadway last year actually, and I can't remember the guy's name you wrestled. And I'm telling you, that was one of the best matches I've seen. And you just have the whole package. It's just like GQ there. Not everybody can go out there and scream. There's 2 kinds of heat. There's white hot heat, meaning the crowd loves to hate you and they can't wait to come back. And then there's go away heat. And that go away heat, you don't want that. You don't want to, that's like calling a guy's wife really ugly or taking it too far, because they're not in on the game with you. They're now hating you just for the fun of it. They're hating you because they really hate you. And it's hard to do that. And Ruby, you as a wrestler and a worker can do anything, baby or heel, and you go in there and you are legitimately one of the best around. GQ, when he goes out, he does the same thing. He knows how far he can take it and how far he shouldn't take it. There's a lot of great professionals in this area. Unfortunately, they're about the same age as I am, we're all getting older though. We got to get that younger crowd trained right so we can go on with this, and because we all can't do this forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. So, well, but it's great though that which of course I will say though, first off, I do appreciate the compliment. Second of all, I kind of wish, even besides our RCW days or CSWA days, I kind of wish we had a couple more opportunities to meet up, whether it be at MPW, WPW, whatever. But but booking is booking, and it's. I mean, it is what it is, but at least we had some fun while we had it, and it was pretty awesome, But yeah, I mean, you've had a lot of guys, like I said, Christian Hayes, Curtis Payne, Damian Blade. I think probably is one of your biggest rivals, and of course, we'll get into more about Blade hopefully in the show. Just touch on that a little bit. But I mean, I know you can't narrow down to one as far as now I know. Well, I mean, do you have anything that's most memorable? Because I know that you were in the ring with Greg Valentine. I know you've worked with Bob, Cowboy Bob Morton. I know you've been in a show around with the Bushwhackers on there, and I know you in the same show. Honky Tonk Man was on it as well. But is there any a particular or memorable match that stands out in your mind?
That I was in.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch.
I know.
we went. Me and Blade went to GCW, and we just pulled out all the stops. And GCW was known to be high flyers and stuff, and they were fantastic. I mean, at the time, none of us is gonna, and they probably would say, "Search fucking sucks," even now, because some guys are just that way. But I will give credit where credit is due, and they were just outstanding, and they really did a lot of stuff, that was cutting edge. But we went there at our size, and we did that and more. And I think that was great. I think we had me and Damian Blade again. We were at Winsville, and we had a match there that I'm not quite sure if anybody has or could match that. In my mind, I'm not saying it was. There was a lot of times what a lot of guys don't know. There was a lot of WWF guys in other places that I wrestled that a lot of people were afraid to wrestle, and a lot of people would say like with Hammer, he would not speak to me, wouldn't have anything to do with me, and he was very standoffish. And after the match, we went about 20 minutes or so, and I was the go-to guy usually when they couldn't get anybody to wrestle somebody. GCW brought me in to wrestle Dan Severn because nobody one, they didn't want to wrestle him because they didn't know how to wrestle him, and also they were afraid. There was a lot of times like that when I was in Chicago, I just wrestled so many names. I can't even tell you all the names I wrestled I was looked to fail. They would always look to me like, yeah, you're going to go out there and he's going to beat the hell out of you and he's going to hate you. But I would go out there and they would. I had this gift of going into a locker room and everybody thinks they have worked me and known me. Tommy Rich was like this. And ECW, he swear to God that me and him had went up and down the road and knew me. I've never met Tommy Rich ever to that day. I'm just like, I don't. But that's the deal, I was able to go, and there were so many matches in my career that I was supposed to fail, but I went out and actually didn't fail. I actually had a really good match, and these people really enjoyed working me. So I would say there's so many matches. I mean it, dude. I got a cage match with Christian Hayes. That was really great. I had Japanese death matches. I had all kinds of them. There's lots of great matches, brother. I mean, I can't come off on all of them.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to narrow them down.
Yeah, I know.
Well, out of a lot of your matches that you've had, what was like your favorite gimmick matches that you've had? Like match stipulation or like the barbed wire matches or stuff. What was your favorites that you did with that?
Good one.
Damian Blade gave me the nickname of Mr. Suicide. I loved going through tables. I loved being hit with chairs. I loved barbed wire. I mean, he one time gave me a German suplex into a thing of barbed wire, and it was just destroyed me. And I love that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. With me, the longer I go and the more beat up I go, the better I get. I was in a Japanese death match with Christian Hayes, Damian Blade, and it was a three-way dance. And I'm telling you, we destroyed our bodies doing that stuff to the point to where I don't even think we remembered the crowd, because that's a big thing with me. I always try to pay attention to the crowd, but there was so much pain involved in that match. It was really like, who's going to survive this? But the cage match, I love the cage. I've done every match you can think of. Ladder matches. I've done flaming tables. I've done, like I said, Japanese death, exploding bow. I've done it. There's not a gimmick match out there that I haven't explored or touched, because I did whatever it took to get. I can wrestle too. I like to say that too. I've had so many matches where it was just real flat. You against me, out wrestle me out. There's some guys like Chico S. Loco, who he's a technician when it comes to the ring, chain wrestling, and you really have to outdo yourself. Dan Severn's like that. I mean, he's put me in moves. I put him in moves that most people would never even heard of. Curtis Payne is like that. He can really wrestle. So I've also been, in like Bob Orton. That was probably he is like the most technical wrestler in the world. And here's a guy that I'm trying to emulate. So all the things in my arsenal, I'm stealing from him. And he's like, that ain't going to work, kid. So I just loved it, dude. I mean, I love everything. The only problem I ever had, and I would tell you my weakness, and here's my weakness. I always thought I was the worst. When I first got into business, Damian Blade, he was I never seen anybody who's a natural like you, Ruby, you're the same way, a natural with the crowd. You can feel that crowd. You can feel what you need to say, when to do it, and how to do it. I didn't feel I had that. I didn't feel I had that. I felt I went out there and kind of, could do the physical stuff, and I got away with it by cheating because I would go and do some really impressive stuff and kicks and all that, and it's impressive. So the fans were really into me because I was a big guy able to do that stuff because I could flip and backflip and do all this stuff. But I wasn't able to do what those guys could do. Like, they didn't need to do all that stuff, and still they got over bigger than me. So that's always been my Achilles heel, if you ask me, is I never thought I was I'm not the greatest worker in that aspect. That's why I didn't make it, was I didn't have that. I wasn't the full package. There's so many people out there that have the full package, and I always lacked something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I lacked something. I wish I was kind of different. Like at time I told the story on Frank's about the Goldberg show, me and you, Ruby, in the main event wrestling. I wouldn't have known what the hell to do if you didn't tell me. I wouldn't have a clue if you didn't carry me through that. So, I was slow at it. I was slow. I was fast at the physical stuff, but I was slow at the game. But now, now I know it. Now I know what I'm doing. But who the hell wants to see me wrestle?
Well, like I said, it's kind of, especially because I know you haven't really been officially been in the ring that much, in front of a crowd. But, it's always good that if someone has, we have a general in there and you only need one general, just because you don't want too many chiefs in an atmosphere like that, because if everybody starts calling their other stuff, then you got a cluster that no one's going to come out feeling happy about. So that's good too. And by the way, I still feel to this day, screw Bill Goldberg.
Oh man, I'll never forget. I got video of that, man.
Oh, yeah. The guy
You waited so patiently. Man.
I know. And it's like he got down there, and the next thing you know, I thought he was going to sign it, and then he gets a tap on the shoulder, and we got to go. And I'm thinking to myself, How many autographs did you just sign? Like over 20, and one more couldn't have killed you? You bald-headed bastard.
I spent time with him out in Kansas City, so he was cool, I thought, so.
Yeah, but you're not Ruby. So.
Yeah, well.
And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. And what you don't know is Goldberg kind of, whispered in my ear that night and said, that guy there looks shifty. So I'm not going to sign his stuff. And I'm like, okay, Bill, whatever. Whatever you say, Bill.
Yeah, no, true story, though.
I think Mr. Big told him that one.
Yeah, true story, though.
I said, Bill, don't give him I said, Bill, don't give him an autograph. He got to ride in a van back to the locker room. I had to walk. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's messed up, man. That is totally messed up. But true story, though, on the way back home, because the next night they had to come. This was like in October '98 or something that happened, because they were coming up.
Yeah.
Because they were coming up to St. Louis for Nitro the next night. So I knew what he was driving in, and I knew he was in this white limo. And I got in front of the limo to boxcar him in, and was going purposely slow on the highway for about 20 miles. So that's probably...
So you got your revenge. That's all.
Yeah.
It's funny, Bill tells a story on his podcast. It was this guy that, made him late to a Nitro one night, and all he can remember is his hand coming out the side would have flipped him off. And he said when the guy drove by, all you can hear is, "Sign more autographs, asshole."
What's funny about the story is the fact that it was.
Because one of those sons of bitches would do anything to get an autograph. I mean,
No.
I'm sure one of you guys has. I'm sure one of you sons of bitches has the autograph of Jesus. You're so dedicated to the business.
That would be big. He's old enough to get that one, so that would be big.
Yeah.
God, my gosh. Yeah, let's turn to Miss Hyde here for a bit. Miss Hyde. So, like I said, you got your start. You went right into going down to Knoxville for the Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy, and let's see, you were down there, I believe, for like 12 weeks, if I recall. What of those entire 12 weeks? What was the toughest part of the training?
That's kind of a hard question, because the hardest part was going down, because I already trained with Searcher and I knew a lot of the basics, and going down there, I knew I was going to relearn the basics the way Tom wanted them done. And he did a lot of things the same way Searcher did, but he had his own little flair on it. So trying to relearn what I already knew was probably the hardest, but the most rewarding, because I got two different ways I can do it. Whatever works best for me, that's what I do now. But the greatest thing about being down there was that they taught us the basics. The first 6 weeks, we weren't even allowed to go on the top rope. We weren't allowed to go on the ropes at all. We had to learn on the mat, how to do everything on the mat.
Yeah.
Before they would train us on anything else.
Only one day off.
We only had we had Saturday and Wednesdays off. We did 4 hours a night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and on Sundays we did promos during the day. And I worked 2 jobs, plus I have 2 children that stayed up in St. Louis with me. So I was working 2 jobs. I was training over 20 hours a week, and I was still trying to keep in contact with my children. So that all makes it a lot harder.
Tell them what they had to do, the training-wise, because it was so strenuous, some of the things that they were having to do.
Yeah.
We would start every night with our rolls. We do the rolls, and then we do our bumps. We did them every night. There are 2 rolls forward, 2 rolls back. We did like a side roll on each side, and then, our handstand bump, our back bump, and then we do 5-5-5. And that's where everyone would be in a corner, and they would rotate out, and there'd be one guy in the middle. And each guy from the corner would come out, and you do, like, headlock takeover. You do that 5 times with a different guy from each corner. And then you would switch to an arm drag. And then you switch to drop toe hold. And then a body slam. And you would it was a whole series of things that you would do, and it would last at least an hour of this one guy in the middle doing it to everyone on the outside. And you'd be doing this for an hour straight, just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That way it was like muscle memory of how you do this without killing yourself whenever someone actually does it to you, or how to do it to someone else without killing yourself or the other person. And if you get lost, you got all these moves that you can fall onto and do. And we would do this stuff every single night.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. It really was. I miss it. I miss it all the time.
And people would come in, ex-wrestlers, guys in the WWE all the time. Mm-hmm. She was hanging with, some of the best of the best. getting training for some of the best of the best. But coming back here after that, it's difficult to find girls. I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to use this.
So hard.
We need girls. We need as many girls as we can find because there's a market for that. And ACW pays every single person, and you will make money. Please, I'm begging every girl. If you ever thought about wrestling, we need girls. We really do.
Women wrestlers are hard to come by that are trained correctly.
Yeah.
At JPWA, there were 2 girls in the class before me. That was the first class that they had. And then I was the second class. We had 3. The next class had 1. And they have not had another girl since then.
Yeah, and who was it that went to, who was AEW?
Kinsey Page, which is from the first class, she is actually on AEW. She is actually their youngest worker they have. She just turned 18. But she's been wrestling since she was 14.
Yeah.
And
Man.
she's really big in Tennessee, and she's really making a name for herself, and we're really proud of her.
And you know what's great, too, is if you're also a big guy, who to train back. That's one of the tough things to do is to train a big guy how to wrestle like a big guy. And if you want to get trained by the best big guy in the business, between Undertaker, Big Show, and Kane, I'm sorry, you couldn't find 3 of the biggest and the greatest workers. They've been the most successful than anybody else. So he will teach you how to not only work as a big guy, but the mindset of it, and he will show you that there's more to wrestling, that yes, you can make a lot of money at wrestling, but they also teach you fundamentals to where, like, it's almost like going down there to those 2 guys is like going to the mountaintop and spending time, with a bunch of monks that have just figured out the whole universe. That is the best school to go to, hands down. If you guys, and we'll bring them up again, as soon as everything gets settled out, we brought them up for seminars and shows and stuff. We work together with JPWA. We work together with Dr. Tom and Kane. We do shows with them. We train with them. If you really, really want to get into business and actually have, most training, you go to train there and like, well, how long is it going to take? How hard is it for me to get into WWE or AEW or what have you? Well, at JPWA, it's one step and that's it. Because those guys are in there, you know what I'm saying?
Well, so. Emily that came in the class after me, she was actually in martial arts and stuff. She actually did the Titan Games with The Rock before she came to train with Dr. Tom and Glenn. And she came in and she trained at JPWA, and now she actually got signed by NXT. She's down there working with them, and she's working on going to WWE. So there are great things coming out of JPWA. I wish I lived in Tennessee so that I could be in that environment more and have the... I talk to Tom all the time still, but it's not like when I was down there. Because I saw Dr. Tom and Kane every single day, and I spent my life with them for 3 months.
And you know how stressful it was. Of course, you do, Ruby. You were on the show. But to put a show on, the first one we did with Kane and Dr. Tom, and they're sitting up there on that platform, like, watching in their chairs, watching everything. When you come to one of these shows with Kane and Tom, they don't say hi and leave. They're there the whole night. They interact with the crowd. They'll go to the concession stand. They're out there. But they watch the whole show. And to talk about stress was to have 2 of the greatest wrestlers of all time watching the show that you booked, you put together, your guys, and then to sit there and have the 2 of them, sit between the 2 of them and tell you, yes, there was a few things wrong with it, but they really enjoyed the show. And that's a testament to you guys. It's a testament to everyone who was on that card, except for, the 1 or 2 things that they mentioned that was not anyone's fault but mine. That was my fault. Those little things was my fault. But there's so many great workers out there today You know, you got Playboy Double H, you got the drill instructor, you got, Rough Cut Rick Ruby, you got Hawk Elliott, you got the Butcher, you got, Curtis Payne, you got Reed Rain, you got so many, and you got great wrestling to go to. Once you start up, you got great federations, like Broadway, you got Herb Simmons' fed over there, you got WPW, you got so many great federations. Wrestling is hot, and it was very hot. Unfortunately, the coronavirus put a power driver on all of us. But we're going to come back bigger and better than ever. And then the people, like we're talking to, like the young people like Miss Hyde here, they will come out and start putting on the best shows. And I just can't wait for it to all get back. I'm sure everyone is tired of all this crap. I can't wait to November 6th. It's all over with. I really can't.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I do. So, Searcher, going back to your career, in-ring career, what was your most favorite faction that you were part of during your time in NPW and WPW? Now that you just mentioned those promotions.
Simple as can be. The Independent Icon.
Yes.
That was me and Damian Blade were sitting around one night, and we were talking about Bruiser Brody, who was my favorite wrestler, and I'm sitting there going, somebody asked me, like, Searcher, how come you? Because yes, I went down to Memphis Power Pro with WWE. Yes, I've done stuff down there, and yes, developmental deals which were lost, but there was reasons that stuff happened, and I never was big into it. I never really, honestly, I never thought Searcher would have fit into a Monday Night Raw. I never thought a Searcher would fit into a Nitro. And I really loved ECW, which I got my opportunity on it, but they closed. So leave it to that for me. You get the big time, bit like you guys interviewed Bill Alfonso. I many times been with Bill Alfonso. He's a great guy, I guarantee you don't remember me. You don't remember names, Daddy. But anyhow, it's just, it's so true. But,
you forgot a few. Hold on. You forgot a few F-bombs on that one. But anyway.
Oh, did he do that to you? Yeah.
He's good though. So
yeah, very good. But the deal is it's tough to really narrow that stuff down. But the Independent Icons, we were sitting around, and I said, well, Brody never signed with anybody. He was the independent. It was way before Sting and everybody else. I said he was either me or Blade. I can't really remember, but one of us says that's what we're Independent Icons. And then I talked to Bob, and I said, hey, Bob, I got this tag team thing we want to do, and he goes, shit, I don't care. So we'll do it. And we did it for years. I mean, Chip, the Chipster was there. It was the Freebird. Usually Blade was champion or Bob was champion, and then Bob or me was tag champions, or me and Blade was tag champions. It worked out that way. We just dominated for years. We dominated. I mean, we kicked the shit out of Rick Steiner one night. I mean, it was great, dude. We were, and like I said, Bob, Bob would always say, I don't want to get in the ring. I'll just sit out here and watch you boys and you guys wrestle. And then 5 minutes into it, take me the fuck in. Okay, I gotta get a piece of that guy. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. But it's just the Independent Icons was absolutely the pinnacle to me. It was the best. We were in great shape. We really worked hard to be in shape, be as big as we could. And then, also what was great was Randy and Bob was in this huge feud with The Undertaker. So he would wrestle with us on Saturday and then go Monday nights on Raw. And it was just so weird, to have that aspect. And it was really great. It really was, man. So the Independent Icons. And 3D would never let me in. So I was like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, nobody wanted me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And then, I'll tell you the group that I love the most that I wasn't a part of. There's two groups I love the most that I wasn't able to be a part of. One was 3D. I thought you guys that was so great. That was really, really good. And then there was the Legion. The Legion was so cool. All those guys in that was so cool. That was a really, really good thing. But the Independent Icons was my favorite group. Although you and I was in the faction. You remember that, Ruby?
We were.
I remember that group too.
That was a lot of fun too. I like groups. It's it's fun. It's like Boy Scouts for assholes.
Yeah. Well, now I know why I never got my invitation for the independent icons, but that's okay. Of course, I probably was too busy. Of course, I was probably too busy carrying somebody else's backside on a tag team as well. So,
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody owes a lot of people money. A lot of people. I'm just saying.
Not Searcher. Stop it. You guys want to do what we do on our shows? We like to drop names. You gonna drop any names?
Oh, I'll say it's Derek Davis. He owes me $700 from conning people on eBay. So
yeah, well, so does Pat Tanaka, that son of a bitch. I'm still looking for you, Tanaka. I swear to God, I'm gonna break you in half, pal. If I get my hands on you.
At least you didn't go. Hey, at least you didn't go all the way overseas and get caught spending a lot more money over there.
Well, that's true too, but still at the same time, I mean, I wanted my geisha girl. Anyhow, so it's all good. So.
Hey.
But Ruby, you would have fit in great with the Icons. Once I retired and got out of it, and then like Bob retired, I mean, some younger guys got in there, or some not so young guys. You would have fit in there perfect, man.
Yeah, with nobody in it. Thanks a lot, you freaking jerk.
It's over. You could have just gave it to him.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question, because you're asking us questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys? What's the most heated moment you guys had on the show? Because we're still reeling from this big, huge fight that happened on our show the other day with Frank Reed and Xavier Frost. Have you guys had anything like that yet? Because I can arrange it.
No. No. We don't have heated arguments here. We just kill it.
with GQ, I don't know how that's possible. He stirs shit with everybody.
Oh.
Usually it's with the guy right above me and all that I have problems with, but that's about it. So.
Well, no, no. Well, I get heated arguments with the technical difficulties here. I throw bombs that they can't be heard.
Well, Damian Blade did chase me off the show once. So.
He did?
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do you think he's actually lost his mind? I mean, we haven't wrestled in so long, and he's still putting that mask on, hanging out. I mean, these kids has got to be terrified of him in the basement. Where's Dad? Down in the basement with that mask on again. I hear a whole lot of, and that's it down there. I don't get it. I mean, I heard that Damian Blade and Playboy WH had a basement match the other day.
Yeah. No, I'll say this.
And then Al Bundy was at the top of the stairs going, "Come on, dude, it's time to eat."
Well, hold on. And then Al Bundy got knocked down the stairs by Damian Blade's mama. So.
Oh yeah. You know what I did the other day on the show? Frank Reed was saying that he was dating somebody. He wouldn't tell me who. I almost said, "Is it the butcher's mama?" But I didn't do that. I didn't do it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Sorry.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, you gotta love him though. I mean, because it's driving him nuts that he can't wrestle. But who doesn't around here? But I'll tell you what, he'll take it too far when his wife wakes up before he does, and he's still wearing that mask in bed trying to sleep. So that's
She has one of her own.
I'm serious. I have stopped watching the news because I know any day now. No, I'm serious. Playboy. No, listen to me, guys. Playboy WH and the Butcher want to wrestle so bad. I'm waiting to see on the news that a masked man and a man in pink just started wrestling old women at a supermarket or something. Film at 11. Because I'm telling you, it's just how I think they're going to snap, dude. They've got to wrestle, and it's killing them. They can't wait to wrestle. They're going to be like the Stone Cold Steve Austin. When Stone Cold and Booker T was in that store. It's going to be just like that. But it'll be those.
Yeah.
Hey, did I ever tell you my Booker T story?
No, I don't think I remember a Booker T story from you.
Let me tell you this Booker T story. So I turned tickets to, I think, WrestleMania or something down from Booker T. That's a true story. But here's what happened. Was Big Bad Ben says, "Hey, man, hey, dude, I'm going to go and I'm going to pick up Rob." And I'm like, "Rob who?" And he's like, "Rob Van Dam. And I'm going to take him to a show. I think it's in, I I don't know, somewhere in Missouri, God knows, some arena. And I'm like, okay. He goes, do you want to ride? I go, yeah. So me and Chris Powell. So I have a witness to this. So we get there, and it's Rob Van Dam and Booker T. And I am I was a huge fan of Rob until I got to know him, and he made fun of me a lot. I mean, I do. I do love Rob, though. I do. He's a great guy. But I love Booker T. And I show up, and there's Booker T. So now, Rube, we all four of us know this. You can't mark out when you're a worker. You can't do that.
No.
So we're all palling,
What?
Well, you can't.
Seriously?
You can't. Yeah. Well, I guess you can. I guess you can. I can't. I do. But anyhow, we piled into Ben's tank because that's what it was. It was the biggest tank in the world. It was the biggest thing. He actually filled it up that day. It cost him $572. I mean, it was that big of a vehicle. It was terrible. But I'm not going to tell you all the story because I really want to do the whole day in a podcast because there's a lot of shit. It ends at a Cracker Barrel. I'll end it with that. But I'm sitting next to Booker T, and I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but now everybody's big into it. And I don't smoke. I don't smoke marijuana. I never have. I've never done a drug in my life. But Rob Van Dam, he was born with a blunt in his mouth. That's just how it is. Okay, and it's true. And I did not know that Booker T, same way. Okay, so it had to be the funniest thing. Me and Chris Powell sitting there. Neither one of us, smoke or do drugs, but dude. I don't know what was going on in that vehicle with these two guys, but at one point Booker T is sitting there and he's rolling. I assume is a joint or whatever, and he's like, "I need something flat, Searcher." And I go, "Okay." I'm looking around. He goes, "Oh, I got something. Don't worry about it." So he's got all this stuff on, and he's rolling and what have you. And you're like, "Where the fuck's he going with this?" Well, this is what happens. The book that he was rolling on was a kid. Ben didn't have any kids. I don't even know. Maybe Ben was going to Sunday school. But there was a Jesus coloring book, okay? With Jesus on the cover of it, a big smile. And Booker T is rolling this joint on Jesus' face. And I look down, I'm sitting next to Booker, and I go, Booker? I go, Booker, do you know what you're doing? He's like, I've done this my whole life. I know what I'm doing. I go, no, look what you're rolling that thing on. It's a picture of Jesus. And he looks at me and he goes, God damn it, Rob, I'm going to hell now just for you. That was a great night, dude. It was real. There was one more thing about that. Rob, how he wears his tape. Fans are just going crazy. We're coming out of the locker room thing, driving up the ramp and stuff, and Rob takes all his tape off, and the fans are just going, Rob Van Dam, Booker. And Rob goes, these people love me, man. I love these people, because Rob loves fans. He really does. And he leans out the window, and we got to grab him. This is Rob Van Dam. He's about to die. He's about to fall out this window, and he throws his tape at this giant group, and it was just like a Ruby moment. Because like 1,000 people were staring at us, like, there's Rob and Booker. Those are the coolest guys. Let's chase the car, what have you. So Rob's hanging out, and he throws his tape. And just as he throws his tape, someone else came out. And everyone turned around and didn't see him throw the tape. And one guy gets hit in the back of the head, and all he sees is this guy going, what the hell was that? It's great, dude.
I think I remember that night. I just don't remember. I just don't want to say where I was probably at. So anyway.
Oh, really? Was it? You still got the tape. Like, that shit hit me in the head.
Yeah, man. Oh, shoot. All right, so I'm going to turn to Ms. Hyde for this one. I'm actually going to ask both of you on this question. But after getting started, after you just got your start into the wrestling business, which wrestler or wrestlers have you looked up to for guidance and advice to help guide your success in the ring, Ms. Hyde?
Well, that's kind of hard because, I look up to I grew up with all of you guys. I've been around you guys since I was 5. So at shows, I always I look towards you guys to kind of guide me in the right direction. I watch how you guys interact with people, how you interact with fans. everyone that's at ACW, I really look up to. Brian James has helped me a lot. He's come out and trained with me and stuff. I always look up to Dr. Tom, and I still have that communication with him and stuff. But the guys that's at ACW, I really look up to them, and they've helped me a lot. Brian James is a big one that's really helped me. That reached out and kind of took me under his wing.
Well, she's not telling you something though, Ruby. She does complain about this, and when we're at a show, almost no one will come up and give her advice. And I think it's because they're afraid that I'm going to say something. And she always says to me, she's like, I wish these guys would come up and kind of like, hey, maybe you should try this, or I saw you do this. And I want to put that out there that, guys, if you can help Miss Hyde out, or you see something, or any young person, please, like Gary Jackson. Gary Jackson said, man, I'll come out there. I got a training little thing out here, that we train in and stuff. And Gary Jackson's like, man, I will come out there anytime and train. That guy's been in the business 40 years. And that's what us veterans need to do. When you see young people, and I get it, most young people don't want to listen. But you know what? It's best to go over and try to get them to learn. And if they don't want to listen to you and they just want to shine you off, that's their loss. But don't ever be afraid, you guys, to come up to Miss Hyde, tell her what she did wrong, what she didn't wrong. Like Keith Smith. Keith Smith, he'll do that to anybody. He'll go up and he'll put as much, he'll help people out as much as he can. There's so many wrestlers out there that has a lot to offer. And just guys, don't be afraid to tell these younger people, and even if they don't listen, you know what? Try anyhow. And like Matt, like Mr. GQ there. There's lots of stuff that you can do to show these younger guys. I mean, and I know a lot of these guys, they're like, oh, you guys don't know shit, But if they had that attitude, walk away. But at least you tried to pass on your knowledge,
Right, exactly. And because I will say that I have some guys that come up to me like, hey, did you see my match? Hey, did you see my match? And I'm like, well, I honestly didn't, because number one, I can't really see a monitor. Number two, I was actually getting dressed after after just having my match. I'm like, I'm trying to I just want to get myself dressed and trying, just so I can be ready. So when the show's over, I can do what I can do to help. So, and so I can be ready. Now, and like, it's no offense, I don't want to see anybody's match, but it's like, I just got done, and it's like, well, if I can get like footage to watch or critique someone's match, then yeah, I'll be more than happy to do what I can. And then if there's anything I could show, I'll be more than happy to show. So.
It was funny that Ruby actually asked me at the Melville show and all that, did you watch my match? And I said, nope, I was talking to somebody.
You missed the one though. If you didn't watch that match, that was one of the best matches. That was a great match. You really that was a great night. We had a great night. Technically, we didn't give away our tickets; they were all sold, and we outdrew Ring of Honor. That was pretty goddamn good. We had a great night that night, and when we opened those doors, and there's video online of it, the droves and droves of people coming in there, it made you feel real good, It did. Don't you guys still, I know you guys do, the electric, the excitement of the crowd, and honestly, I work for free a lot. The reason why I work for free a lot, because I would have paid to get in that ring. I love getting out there. That's I love wrestling. I love performing. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about that show was I was the first one in that general area in about 22 years. The last one before that was NVWA that Steve Murphy ran down the road from there, actually. Really? But that was the last time wrestling in that area had happened for 22 years.
And that place went so good, we talked to Kane, and we were going to bring Kane in there because that was such a nice place and a great show for us. And we will. Things are going to work out. Things will work out.
Yeah. So, Searcher, what about you? After you just got your start into the business, I guess within the first few years, whatever. Is there any wrestler or wrestlers you looked up to for guidance or any type of, critiquing or anything else to help guide you?
I don't know if you probably know this. everyone I ran into, I said, "Did you see my match? Was I okay? Did this?" Judge Chip Leffler, it was probably the main person I would say, how was it? Because he managed me for so many years. I would say, how was it? Johnny D, I asked that in the very beginning. Let's go back to the very beginning. The very beginning, it was Johnny D. There was times Trevor was new in the business, and we both was kind of like, how was that? There was, me and Damian Blade, we would always try to find out, man, did you see this one part? Was it good? And see, I learned from somebody, I don't know who it was. I think it was DDP or somebody, but they recorded every single match. And they said, record your match, every single one, no matter what you do, even if you pay a fan $5 to do it, and hope you don't run off with your camera. But I didn't record it to go, look how great I was. I only saw my negatives. So I knew what worked and what didn't work. So that's what I did a lot. But almost everyone I came, and also there was guys, Ruby, that I went up to ask, can you watch my match, or did you watch my match? And they were flat rude to me. Like, man, when the fuck would I watch your match, and you got a long way to go. You really sucked. And then, the next week I'd be wrestling them, and they'd be wanting to do everything under the sun. No. Rage was always good. Jesus Christ. No, Rage was very bad to me at the very beginning. He was there was a day with him and Frankie D, which was terrible. I used that day as how not to train people. Like I've said this before. I've been in the martial arts since I was 6, and I've so many dojos, so many instructors, so many masters, so many I hate. But I've walked out of dojos where I thought I was Superman and Bruce Lee combined and nobody could beat me. And I've also walked out of dojos where I said I'm never going to go back there again. And that day when I went there, I walked out thinking I was pretty big. Because they put me through do a backflip, and they got down to like, we'll do a backflip out of the ring. Well, I did. There was nothing I couldn't do. But after me, Damian Blade went in there, and they put him through the same ringer. And Blade, at the time, didn't have those physical skills, and I had to talk him out of quitting. And I use that every day because it's not my job to, I fought training people for years, and it was Dan Severn that's I finally did start training, but I really didn't take it 100%, like, oh, let's go do this, and I will train as many people, anyone who wants to be trained. But I didn't want to do it for years because I didn't want to be that guy that is the last guy they remember as the guy to tell them you can't fulfill your dreams because you're not good enough. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's some people you got to look at and say, look, you're not good enough for this. You're never going to be like, I've done this many times. When I have a new class or so, I look at them and say, who is the wrestler that you most think that you resemble and the wrestler that you most want to be like? And I will tell you, some of the smallest, most weakest guys will look at me and say Goldberg or Batista. I'm just like, what are you thinking when you look in the mirror? You got to be self-aware. But it's also very good to be told, because Matt, I'm sorry, break that kayfabe. But GQ, you trained with me. We had a huge group of people training. And do you remember Mr. Insecurity, the referee? He trained forever, and then I looked at him in the middle of everybody because my theory is you make a big deal out of small mistakes in front of everybody. I never take people off to the side when they mess up because embarrassment is a very, very, in the martial arts world, I learned this. Embarrassment is a very, very good learning tool. If you screw up and you get your ass chewed out in front of everybody, and you go to the end of the line, by the time you're getting up there, you're going to try way, way harder to do it right because you don't want to be screamed at again. Okay, so that's how you can do that. But you don't make fun of the guy, you don't abuse the guy, you don't say this guy, because honestly, it's me. If I can't train you how to wrestle, it's not you, it's me. Because I can train you how to do the wrestling and all that stuff. What I can't train you, though, is I can't train you 3 things. I can't train you to be physically smart and tough, and mentally tough and physically tough. And I can't teach you to be mentally smart. Because this business, you have to be smart. And it's not just wrestling. You have to be smart that, hey, I got paid $150 and I'm 500 miles away from my house. Okay, I'm going to go get myself, like when I rented a car, I'm going to rent a car. I'm going to get a big fancy room, and I got to drive 500 miles to the next show, and I'm going to do the same thing the next night. And then when you get back into town, when you get back home, you go, wow, how much money did you make? I'm in the hole for about $140, So there's a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things you got to learn in this business. And to train people is a very, very important undertaking, and not everyone should do it. That's why I started the seminars with Bob Orton. I said to myself, what's the first thing they ask you when you go in the locker room, a new one? They say, who trained you? Well, a lot of guys will go, Johnny Trash Truck, and they're like, who the hell is Johnny Trash Truck? And they're like, well, he's really big in my town. Well, that's not going to get you, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to get you up on the card. It's not going to get you anywhere. So I said, how can I fix that? Well, I did all these seminars and went all these places with Dan Severn, did all these seminars, which I never knew what a seminar really was in the wrestling world. I saw it lots of times in martial arts, but not wrestling. But Dan Severn would do this. So I said to myself, dude, that's what we got to do. We got to get really good guys that's made a living at this business, knows what they're doing, and get them to do seminars. So when a guy says, who trained you, you can look at him and say, Cowboy Bob Orton, or Dan the Beast Severn, or Dr. Tom Pritchard. And that is the goal. And I've done that. I was the first one to bring Bob Orton in for a seminar. The first person he ever did it with was with me, and it was freaking phenomenal. Dan Severn, I've done many of them with him, so many with him. And then Dr. Tom Pritchard, too. And we could do so many. There was a lot of guys coming up, a lot of seminars, a lot of, oh, man, it was just, and it's going to happen again once we get over this COVID-19.
Yeah. So kind of going back on what you were just talking about, with seminars and talking about wrestlers and how to improve their performance here. What characteristic or fundamental element do you feel is missing the most with today's wrestlers' performance?
The ability to tell a story, the ability to stay connected with your crowd, the ability to go out there and have a match that makes sense and for a purpose. When you go out and do 50-50 booking and 50-50 matching, which 50-50 booking is half the guys win, half the guys lose, half the bad guy is going to win, a bad guy going to win, then a good guy going to win, then a good guy going to win, then a bad guy going to win. And then a 50-50 booking is wrestling is when you go out there and he attacks you a little bit, then you attack him a little bit, and he attacks you a little bit, and then somehow some usually a clusterfuck of a finish happens, and then 1, 2, 3, and you stand up and you're like, oh, that was great. People forget about the number one problem, and the WWE is real bad about this, is they forget the crowd. They forget the crowd. You gotta like Hulk Hogan invented this. Like Wahoo McDaniel, he used to smash the guy in the head over and over again, and it was big. Fucking people loved it. And then Harley Race would walk in and he would hit Terry Funk in the face as hard as he could, or elbow him. People loved it. But Hulk Hogan and probably Dusty Rhodes was the first guy to grab the guy, do his false comeback, and then grab the guy by the hair and bring his arm back to punch him. But before he did that, he looked at the crowd like, do you want to see it? And that crowd's like, oh my God, he just looked right at me and he asked me if I want to see it. That is the greatest thing ever. I have a real connection with him. And that's what you got to do, guys. You got to have a connection with it. Like I can tell you right now how to book. I can tell you right now how to set up a match that will be the best match on the card every time. And as a wrestler, you should know how to do this already. But I don't see that. There's no psychology. There's no purpose. Like in ACW, there's a purpose. That we only have 6 matches. Our main event is for the heavyweight title. Our co-main event is for the tag team titles. And then the match right before that is usually for the women's title. And then the 3 matches in the beginning is either for the number 1 contendership for the tag titles, number 1 contendership for the ladies title, or the number 1 contendership for the heavyweight title. Every match makes sense. And you get paid more. Our champions get paid more. and everyone gets paid. And the further down on the scale you go on the main event, you get paid more. That's how it's supposed to be. There's a rhyme and reason to it. But your matches, when you don't give guidance, like we have agents. No independent company out there had agents. No one until I started. And now I hear people look at me and tell me, oh, well, we have producers or agents. Man, you don't even know what you're talking about. I worked house shows. And that's what the thing is you can't book. Everyone on independent scenes would book a show like it's a Raw or a pay-per-view. Brother, you can't do what a Raw and a pay-per-view does because you don't have the weeks and weeks of TV leading up to it. How many times have we gone to a house show and it's like, man, that match was the best. They told the story from the beginning of the match and to the end, and it was over and done with. That's how you got to do these independent shows. You've got to book to where everything starts that night and ends that night. You got to and agents is only basically a guy that's going to help you out with structuring a match and telling you the rules of the match and telling you what you can and can't do. And also that agent pays attention. If you screw up or you do certain things, you can't get fined and you can't be suspended. You got to start taking it serious because we've all jumped off the cliff and all of a sudden CGI made us fly. That is unreal. So we got to bring wrestling back for real. We got to bring it back and bring it in more into a reality-based wrestling. Right, Miss Hyde? Absolutely.
Right, but I think I actually did fly.
Oh, shut up. You're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I have one that I'm going to ask for both of you, but I know Searcher's probably going to be, he's going to say a whole hell of a lot.
Probably not.
But, well, it probably. But Ms. Hyde, is there any moment that stands out as the most unplanned or botched scenario during one of your matches?
I don't feel like I've had enough matches to have a most botched moment besides all of them. I feel like I'm still so new that everything feels kind of bad to me, if that makes sense. I'm still learning the curve of that. I think I've done some good things, some great things. I've had some pretty good matches, but I haven't learned the curve of making it to where it doesn't feel like I just screwed that whole thing up. So.
And you, Searcher?
Oh, I miss Ninja Presley. I can get him on the phone. He can be here.
Are you going to put a mask on like somebody else did when he called in the other character?
I will do whatever it takes to just get my last 14:59 minutes of 15 fame, But you know what? I have so many. I have screwed up. So one time I jumped over the top rope and the guys just moved, and I landed like a pancake. But I think one of the things I'll never forget is I used to do all this stuff out of a chair. Sabu used to that's where I got it from. Sabu used to set a chair up, and he would jump out of the chair, jumping off the chair onto the guy, or he would jump to the top rope or whatever. Well, I do this spinning leg drop. You guys seen it many times. I jump up and I spin in the air all the way around, and then I land the leg drop. Okay. Well, I was in Hannibal, Missouri, and I was wrestling Nomad. And I was pretty proud of this because Nomad was very green, but the match was getting over. It was amazing the match was getting over. He was a big son of a bitch. But I had the crowd in the palm of my friggin' hand. And I was doing some crazy shit like always, but I set the chair up right in the center of the ring, and he's sprawled out, ready to go. And I stand on that chair, and they rise to their feet. The fans rose to their feet. And I've got video to prove this. Rose to their feet, and you know what, you guys, we've all heard this, where the fans, it's that rumble of anticipation. They know it's like coming off the top rope or whatever. They know something, it's going to happen, and they can't wait to see it, and he's going to crush the no man's head. It's going to be awesome. And I raise my hands, like the crow, and I'm like, you guys ready for this? And they're just like, Searcher, we are 100% with you, brother. When you jump off that chair, fireworks are going to go off, and you're going to free little children from whatever. And I go to jump, and the chair collapsed underneath my huge weight. And then you hear you hear nothing but whoa, and then you hear it was kind of like little bit like chuckle here, then a chuckle there, and then it was like next thing you know, I'm at a Jerry Lewis concert. Everybody's laughing their ass off, and that was probably. And then I looked back at his chair, and I actually said this. You can't see it on the video, but I looked at the chair and I said, "You're the worst tag team partner I ever had."
Wait, your tag was late?
I tell you what's bad was when you have this giant monster laying on the mat, and you can feel the ring shaking. And it's not because of you; it's because he's laughing so hard. Your opponent that you were beating the hell out of is laughing at you.
Oh my God!
I've got lots of bad. I've had top ropes break on me. I've
Same
had
here.
lots of bad stuff, dude.
Sure.
Oh, there we are. Thank you very much, baby. I'm coming across on you. And
I
Ninja
just showed
Presley.
him the picture.
Yeah. Well, that was great, Ninja Presley. I miss that guy from Memphis, Japan.
Memphis, Japan. Nice.
I tell you, Dan Walsh tells a story about that. Yes, I didn't always do Ninja Presley. Ninja Presley is actually a real person, but I did personal security for him down in Memphis many times, and he said, he's a searcher. You go out there and you pretend you're me. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Well, Dan Walsh, Crocodile Kid, he would tell the story that it's great about when Searcher does Ninja Presley is he stays in character even when he's calling in the ring. He's like, I'm going to shoot you off, baby, and duck the clothesline.
Oh my God! After this, we're gonna go off and get a peanut butter and teriyaki sandwich.
Put a little Demerol on that, baby. Pilot says we're taking off in about 5 minutes. Did you know how that started? Was Ruby, you and I, for some reason, always got stuck doing the ninja character. How many times did you have to be the evil ninja? How many times?
Maybe like once or twice. I didn't do it as much as you did.
I just had to do it like every time we like if somebody didn't show up, and I would raise my hand. I'll wrestle again because I wrestled 5 or 6 times, and it always had this ninja costume. And one time I did not want to do it, and I just went out there and I looked at the sound guy. This was MPW, and it was Skittles, and I said, Skittles, play this. And usually we use Kijimoto's music, Great Muda. We usually use his music or something.
Yeah.
But I had him play the 2001 theme and the drum opening to CC Rider for Elvis Presley. And that's how that started. I just went out there and pretended to be Elvis Presley because, for God's sake, ninjas love music too. That's what I thought. So there you go.
Right. Woo. Wow. Like you said, about a couple years or so ago, I mean, is when you had your first, you had your first show with ACW or American Championship Wrestling. You came out of your comfort zone from being a wrestler or booker, for some of these other promotions to be a flat out promoter. So what is your ultimate goal? Would you like to see it? What you would like to see achieve with ACW? And do you have a set timeline and how long you'd like to keep ACW going?
Well, my ultimate goal is to be where the WWE or AEW or any of the bigger companies can get their talent from, and that's where we were heading with Glenn Jacobs because of Mark Morton. I would have never. I've known Glenn for 21 years. He doesn't like me. I'm going to say it right here on your show. Glenn Jacobs, Kane, who I am like the biggest fan of, he doesn't like me. He says I like you, Searcher. You can tell in his voice he doesn't like me. Okay, so he loves my daughter. He loves my daughter. He loves Mark Morton. They're best of friends. He likes everyone but me. I mean, I asked him I asked him one time. I was like, "So what made you get in politics?" I'm trying to ask a question that he would, I thought that he would go, well, that's a very, good question of you, man. I'm looking at you in a different way now. He goes, because I love it, idiot. Okay, fine. But no, my goal is, and exactly what was happening was, I want to be a step above everybody else. I want to be doing the, bigger. I want to do 1,000-seaters, 2,000-seaters. Yes, I will do smaller ones. I want to do shows with really big shows with half legends and half indie guys and stuff. I want our talents like the WWE. There's a lot of older guys that are retiring and stuff, and I want them to, from Glenn Jacobs' Black Book, to say, you want a place to work where you can make some money and know you're not going to get screwed over. Me and Tom know just the guy, and that's what was happening, folks. That's what was, and I want guys to be able to be in, it's like with the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. I want it to be legit. When I was a wrestler, I never went into it to be a wannabe. At first I kind of ripped off The Undertaker and stuff, but I knew I had to become my own person. I knew I had to start doing my own moves. I knew I had to do my own thing. I never wanted to be a wannabe. And with American Championship Wrestling, like a lot of guys like, man, you need to get your own building and you need to run shows there every month. No, man, that's like what Broadway and that's what Herb does. And that's what, why am I going to step on that? Let me go out let me take wrestling to the masses, in these little towns or not so little towns, and bring, not everybody can afford a WWE, and not everybody can, AEW, they don't travel a whole lot. So if we can get some of their guys to come on our shows, we can make great money, and I really want to be successful at it. I will tell you this, ACW, both years it's been around, has made a profit. I've not lost a dime one. I've made, and I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm not saying I'm the best booker. I'm not saying I'm the best promoter. I'm not saying I'm the best wrestler. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is you watch out, guys, because I'm like I always have. I'm out for the championship. I'm out for the main event, and that's what I want to do. I'm out for the guy they talk about the most. And now it's just not me though. It's my whole federation. It's American Championship Wrestling. I want everybody to go all over this country. Like when you went down to JPWA, when you mentioned to Dr. Tom about Searcher was your dad, did he or did he not already hear about me? And that's what we need. We need to have that federation that's a little bit bigger than everybody else. I'm not there yet, guys, but I'm hoping with the help of people like you and with all the great talent around here. And you know what? These other federations around here, I get along with everybody that I know of. We have some great federations around here. Dyna Pro, Herb Simmons, Broadway, WPW. RCW if they're still. I don't know. I don't know if they're still. But I just know that there's a lot of people there that I really like, and not everybody likes the same ice cream. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to try to take it as far as I can on my level. What can I do? I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. But I think I accomplished a lot in the first 2 years. And it ain't just me. It ain't me at all. It's people like, my wife helps me run this thing. She does more. If it wasn't for her, none of that, the ticket stuff, the state stuff, the merchandise.
The state would have dropped you a long time ago.
Miss Hyde here, Miss Hyde, she takes care of the back. She does so many things. She loads the ring. She gets everything in line. Actually, I asked, like you, Rough Cut, you have went out and made so many connections for me for promoting and stuff. Everybody on the roster has stepped up. It's like 20 years ago when people first got into business. Everyone steps up and just helps out. Believe it or not, PYT, those guys have just been an asset like you wouldn't believe. Brian James is part of my management. When have you ever known Brian James to be part of management of anybody? Brian James is part of my management. Brian, we have everyone is trying to make ACW number one, not to outdo anyone, but to try to elevate everything around here the right way. Because I think a lot of guys have come close, and a lot of guys, but one thing or the other kind of screwed them up. And what I want to do is try to make it, make wrestling great again, without having any enemies. I don't want any enemies either,
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll get over this hump, and then, we've actually, Denise is in the chat watching the show, asking when's the next show, and I think I can ask for you as soon as we get clearance, because Missouri, to be quite honest, is pretty much being a bitch as far as trying to get just to even do anything. And don't even think about trying to come to St. Louis County because, you might as well just lock yourself up because you ain't doing nothing anyway. or much less St. Louis City. But, as soon as, I can't say, just follow American Championship Wrestling on Facebook and you'll find out when your next show is going to be. So find American Championship Wrestling on Facebook, like them, and once they put up updates, then you'll get them. So that's all I can really say for you. So
yeah, and let me tell you another thing. All you wrestlers out there, here's the deal. I paid almost $600 for that heavyweight championship. It's not a replica belt. It's not a belt that, somebody slapped some stickers on. This is a legit championship. It is one of the most crown jewels you could ever hold in your hand or around your waist. I want everybody to come fight for it. I want all talent to come fight for that thing. Shut up. Shut up over there.
Yeah.
We were actually supposed to have a show this weekend.
Yeah, we were supposed to be at Lost Valley.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's why I wasn't so. I got the memo while I was on vacation. I'm like, well, I guess I don't have really have to rush anywhere while I'm on vacation now to try to get a physical done. But
well, there's another contact. That's another thing. We now, because of that, it was a bad thing we had to cancel. But because we canceled, now we're guaranteed a whole weekend, a 2-day event for next year. There, we're remaking contacts that haven't. We're wrestling in places that ain't seen wrestling in 20 years. We're going everywhere. ACW is the snowball that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there is no end in sight for it. And until there's somebody in the management steals all the money, and then next thing you know, we'll be closed.
Joe once said that he wants to fight for that belt, but he doesn't get a chance, right?
Who, Joe? Who?
Joe Turpington.
Joe Mama.
Yes, he gets.
No, I'm just joking.
Joe Mama.
Joe Mama.
He gets. Well, you know what? I had. I'm gonna drop some news on you right now. I'm gonna drop the news on you right now. Unfortunately, I had to make a call to my heavyweight champion, flying Brian James, and I told him that I'm not quite sure, because in ACW you have to defend the title within 30 days. And that belt has not been defended. The tag titles hasn't been defended, and the ladies champion hasn't been defended, and it may not be defended for almost a year. Yeah. So most likely, our first show back, there will probably be a invitation only. Actually, no, it'll be probably open and roll on a Rumble to see who is the best, because I think that may be the only way to do it on these titles. Could you imagine tag teams going into a Rumble trying to win it? I mean, I don't know how I can logistically pull this thing off, but I think I'm going to do it because, and he was good with it because he's such a great champion. He's like, dude, if that's what you feel you got to do, you got to do it. But we can't, we've got to bring some legitimacy back to wrestling. And, and the fans out there deserve better. That's my promise to every fan who's listening, that you deserve better. And with ACW, you will get better. You would definitely get better.
Yeah. And something I'm going to throw out there, because you mentioned something, I don't think that's ever been done before, at least not that I know of. A tag team style Royal Rumble where both members of a tag team get in there, but if one member gets thrown out, then the other guy has to go with them. I think that would be an excellent match to have.
But you can double team one another. See, here's what I'm thinking. If I can get enough women, I will do the tag team Rumble and the girl Rumble on the same night. And then, because I'm sure...
How many girls you get for this?
I'm going to get as many as I can. No, I'm serious. I will spend all the money we made to do this stuff because I want it done. I will do the heavyweight, the ladies championship and the tag one in the same on one card, to where the two teams can go in and work together, double team as many teams as want, and put them out, and they will become the new tag team champions. But everybody wants to be the world champion also. So then the next show after that, we will have the biggest Rumble you ever seen. If I have to get 2 rings, 4 rings, 5 rings, I will do this, and I will fill them up. And down to the last 2 guys, they will fight to the death for this heavyweight, this belt, this title that is, in my opinion, the nicest, the greatest title in this area by hands down. I'm telling you, it's awesome. I love it. It will be huge.
I would like to see a preview.
Oh, fight to the death! Did I say fight to the death?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that would be a pay-per-view.
Yeah, sure, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I don't think that'd be good publicity though. So
No,
Get people on the door.
no, I just can't wait for the first wrestler to go, yeah, I got a gimmick. What is it? Covert 19. Oh, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
What's your finisher? High fever. High fever from the top rope.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your finisher? Anthony Fauci. I'm sorry, but sorry.
And, I tell you what, we're having the first gimmick match, an all mass rumble, and the loser who has his mask on, or the guy who keeps his mask on to the very end is the winner. Basically, all you gotta do is rip the guy's mask off. You know?
Hey, Patriot number 5 could probably return on that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Well, not that kind of mask. Gee, that would be kind of hard.
Patriots.
No, you know what? That would be cool. Hey, GQ, you remember that time I had that rumble with all gimmick mask characters and then you? There was a reason for that.
Woo! Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm just busting your balls.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, let's give Miss Hyde back.
Mine are bigger than yours, so.
Oh,
whoa! That hurts me deep down. That was deep down. Never mind. Anyhow,
we're not going to ask
me and GQ has always had this love-hate thing. Like, I mean,
we love to hate.
Yeah, exactly. But what people don't know, I will tell you something about Mr. GQ there. Here's the deal. He goes to the Hall of Fame, and this guy brings books. And he was one of the most popular guys there, and nobody really knew. We should have really announced it, because he brought these books of years and years and years of pictures and autographs of all these wrestlers, and everyone, it was a sellout at the table they were on. Everybody was looking. You brought so much happiness, and man, people loved that, dude. And I appreciate, like I said, you will be a Hall of Famer one day. Rick Ruby will be a Hall of Famer one day. And Miss Hyde. But what is great, when you do stuff like that, brother, to me, it just takes you up the ladder, getting closer and closer to that. Because what you did there is just the memories that you brought just by bringing your books. And you wouldn't think it was a big deal, but, dude, it was. I appreciate you doing that so much, man. Because I know that's a lot to bring all that stuff.
Oh, that was just the local stuff. That wasn't even all the other albums.
It's an unbelievable, your collection. It really is.
Just
hold on.
I've moved all of his books at least 3 times.
Hold on, let me move this here for a second.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're working probably on a 30-second delay.
All those binders right there.
Yeah,
and those. All autographs.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
You'll see it eventually if you're watching the feed, but there's 2 shelves, literally, of nothing but freaking binders, all in protective sleeve binders. And let me tell you, that bitch is heavy to lift because I've moved it several times before. You know what I'm talking about. I'm tired. I mean, I almost pulled a hammy on that. So.
Well, quit eating ham so much and you won't worry about
it. Hey. Oh, my God. Let's see. Miss Hyde. Let's give. I was trying to get you. Let's go and get to that question here. My God, time flies when you're having fun. I haven't even got through half of it. Here we're going nearly the 2 hours.
How we could do a 3-hour episode?
Yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, who could talk for 3 hours and then you listen to it and you're like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Miss Hyde. So what are after getting through JPWA? What are your long-term goals lined out that you have that you hope to achieve in the wrestling business?
I have a hard one with this because part of me wants to, serious, long-term, I want to be the best that I can possibly be. And I want to travel all around and do as many states as possible and all that. And then I want to come back and I want to train, once I'm a vet and I know what I'm doing, I want to come back and train girls the way they should be. Not the hair pulling and stuff, actual wrestling, and I've been trained with Dr. Tom and stuff, because I think that's something that's missing in the area with girls being trained correctly.
Yeah.
But then there's the other part of me is I do want to go to WWE, and I do want to make all the money, and I do want that part And then once I'm done in WWE, I'll just go sign autographs. That sounds great.
And make sure you get everybody in line. Don't be a jerk.
No, always comes back.
I make no promises on that.
No.
I'm a jerk.
Jeez.
And I'll take about 20 of them.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. But you know, that's because she helps me train down there. So you know, you're actually learning what Dr. Tom. I kind of let her at the very beginning just take over that stuff because, you know, it's just. I mean, I'm sorry. Dr. Tom has done way more than me, knows way more than me, and I have my own procedure and things that I do. But I got to tell you, I think who would you rather learn whose style, Searcher style, or Dr. Tom Pritchard style? So I'm pretty sure. You want that, and she does. She shows them all that kind of stuff. She's a good little trainer. We need more girls. We really do. So because she can't get better if she's wrestling the same person every night. Which, you know, we have to get more girls. I know they're out there.
My biggest setback right now wrestling is that I don't have any veteran women to be a general in the ring. When I'm in the ring, I'm typically the general in the ring. And honestly, I'm not at the spot in my wrestling career to where I should be. I should be learning still, and I feel like I'm teaching. So we need veteran girls as well.
Well, a lot of the problems with that is there's not so many training anymore, or those that do don't last because they're running into all these, you know, I want to say scumbag wrestlers and promoters that are trying to make, you know, deals with them. Hey, you do this, I do that kind of thing for them and all that. And it's souring them on the business and it's getting around a lot of it. Why a lot of people don't want to get in at this time, at least as women are on it, for one.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, it's almost an abusive business. And then when they go, hey, you ain't making any money either, that kind of sucks. And that's another difference between us. You know, the Butcher and Brian James and Playboy Double H, they average $100 to $110 just on merchandise alone at our shows, and we still pay. There is money in this, folks, and there is opportunities. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, if you got screwed someplace else or something like that, come to us. You know, you can check us out. You know, get in touch with us and we'll definitely make something happen for you. But you're absolutely right, GQ. I mean, they get screwed by so many people in so many ways that it makes them disdain the business. They got a hunger for it, but by the time some of these people get done with them, they never even want to hear the word wrestling.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. And
there's a lot of it going around just recently with the speaking out movement that they did for a while. And just so many of them and all that. And I know a lot of people that thought they were going to try to get in saw that and decided, no, I'm not. That's the way it is, and it's not. So a lot of people just need to learn that and everything like that. And like Miss Hyde did a great job going to great places to train and everything. And she's definitely not going to have
Yeah,
idiots doing that kind of stuff around you when both of you can whip their asses. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I've been very lucky. I haven't had any problems like that in a locker room or anything. But the locker rooms I go into are very respectful. So I've been lucky to be in very good locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can really ask for. Because I mean, when I see or hear about trash like that, that makes me boil more than anything. Because it's like, you know, hey, it's like if you're trying to get a date, why don't you go freaking on eHarmony or Plenty of Fish or even Craigslist if they're still running ads. If you need a cheap throw, pal, you know, it's something that doesn't belong in our business. You know, keep the.
And you know what? I have trained women. I think the first woman I ever trained was probably 2001, maybe 2002. I've trained women. And I've never had a problem. And it's like I tell them, though, you got to understand that I'm not going to treat you any different than a man on certain things. But I don't know how because it's trust. You know, you can't. You need to be more mature, and that's a tough thing when you really want to get into business. Look how I've witnessed GQ be, things happen to him, that was wrong. I've witnessed things that's happened to Rough Cut Rick Ruby. I've had stuff, look how hard it was for us. Can you imagine what it'd be like if you're a 105, pound girl and you're in the midst of a bunch of guys, what a bunch of guys think maybe is playing around actually could be something pretty serious to them. So it's not a fine line. Right and wrong is, people say this all the time. Well, it's kind of hard to, you don't know what's right or wrong anymore. Yeah, it's called right and wrong. If it's wrong, you don't do it. If it's right, you do it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I would say that that's probably my biggest pet peeve in the business is creeps like that. Because then if I go out or if I travel and people have, if I go into the locker room to where they've had an instance like that happen, and then I get kind of the shitty eye, not even knowing, because they don't even know who I am, then it's like, I still have to prove myself, but it's just, I look back at the people who made the bad name for all of us out there that are trying to go out there. And it's like, well, you don't know me yet, so, get to know me, and, just talk with me because, guys like that, or even like, shady promoters, shady bookers, anything else like that, it just really, honestly, just turns my stomach. That honestly is my pet peeve and all that. And,
yeah, if anything like that ever happened around me and my federation, I would just make a phone call to the collector, who is the manager of the Night Stalkers, Scar, and the Bruja Shaman, and they would just come in and just destroy those people. Because I don't know if you guys seen these two guys, but they're the two scariest, freaky guys I know. And if anybody wants to mess around or mess with somebody, just give me a call and I'll send those guys on. They'll never do it again. Those guys, but because they deserve. Because man, you can't do that, man. The business is so tough. Like I got Brian McGee into the business. I trained Brian McGee, and what happened with Brian McGee, you can almost say that he was pushed over the edge by, the guy who trained him down there. And like Dr. Tom was down there at that time. He saw a lot of things too, but he wasn't involved in that. But
Dr. Tom was actually one of the people that was training him, but it was the other trainer that.
Yes, which I don't want to even say his name. But that, you got to understand.
Oh, Hugh Morris. I'll say it right now.
Okay.
Phil DeMott. I'll say it right now because I can't stand him, how he trained and everything, and I know exactly everything that Brian went through because I helped him out with a lot of stuff. And it was a lot. I'm not saying that's an excuse by no means. That he knows that it's not. He knows my opinion on that. But the humility, like Bill DeMott going out there laying a gun on the ring, telling people to bump correctly and everything, or doing this and that and everything, and making fun because somebody's not healed as quick as they thought they should and everything. It led to a lot of problems. Like he had the issues with the drinking and everything, and that was a thing that he even reached out to the boys. And again, something else that happens with this business is jealousy. That when he was reaching out was a private group that was not public to anything. But all of a sudden, the post that he did was put out there on the news sites.
Well, here's the deal. Leading up to what happened, he messaged and texted me. He called me, and there was about a month period there where I would talk to him pretty regularly, and it was kind of the same kind of thing because I love Brian to death, but at times Brian could be a little bit of a whiner. And I'm like, dude, you're in the WWE, dude. Do you do what they tell you to do? But he wasn't at that time telling me what was going on. But then he was messaging me, and I have screenshots of this stuff. And I have all this stuff leading up to that, and I feel so bad because he called me coach. He really looked up to me. A lot of people was, I trained McGee. Oh, I did this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I did. I've got the video to prove it. And what really irritated me was the week all this happened. This irritates me so much. Is I was seeing people go on TV talk about Brian as if they, cared about him or they knew the inside, this and that, and it made me so angry. And then when I get a knock on the door, and at my door is a Fox 2 news reporter by the name of Rocky
Madden.
Madden?
Madden. Yes. He's standing staring at me, and I go, oh, shit, I'm not going to do this. And he goes, hey, did you hear about the shooting down at the river? And I go, no. What about? He goes, well, he's lived right over this way. I thought maybe you knew the guy. Maybe you can give me some information. There was a story about a guy who was on the river floating, and there was a shooting, and a guy was dead. And I stood there, and I could have. He had a scoop because I had videos of Brian. I have voicemails of Brian going off on this stuff. I have stuff I've never spoke of about Brian McGee, and I'm looking him in the eyes, and I never said a word. The biggest story in the country at the time, the guy was looking at the main guy that could have told him the real truth, and I didn't say a word. Do you know why? Out of respect for the family of that girl, out of respect for everyone who's been picked on or bullied, I was not the guy to take up that charge. And I swear, these people that live off that and try to get their 15 minutes of fame, that's sad and pathetic.
And Brian had kids too.
He had, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. So.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I was actually, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say his daughter actually wants to get into the business, and because I'll be the first to admit, nobody knows it. I have talked to Brian, and I've messaged him and all that. He knows I don't support anything that happened, but I know that he's alone and everything like that. So just still be in the ear, because one thing I'm going to prove on that is I wasn't a friend of his at all, and you'll agree, and Ruby will agree. We weren't a friend of his because he got into the WWE. We were a friend of his beforehand. But you know, it's everybody else that had to open their damn mouth with shit. Like Mr. Late Night, for one. He was only riding his coattails, hopefully he can get somewhere too. Everybody that's backed away from him and all that weren't a friend with him to begin with, because they stopped talking to him once he lost his contract and shit. But his daughter, he even admits it, his daughter's going to have a hell of a time trying to get into this business and everything, just because, like with all the stigma with her dad.
Send her my way.
I already have said that to him though too. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's just kind of a situation that's, it's unfortunate that it did happen. And like I said, I mean, me and Brian, we wrestled many times, throughout the course, like in the late 2000s. Before he got the invitation to go down to Florida. But it is I will say that it's kind of ironic how everybody that tries to ride his coattail, it's kind of ridiculous. And I don't want nobody to do this. I mean, you got to make your success your own. You can't ride anybody's coattails at all in this business, because first off, number one, it's not going to work. Number two, that's just something you don't do in this business. You got to put in the work for yourself. You got to do everything yourself. Don't try to see about sneaking in and say, hey, I know such and such. Maybe I can get in doing this. No, it's not going to work. So you got to put in the work if you want something done in this business. And, and I'll tell you what, I know an affiliation of the people that Mr. Late Night was around here too, and they're not really that supportive of that. And I'll just say shame on you guys. I mean, yeah, the guy's going through a rough time. You don't know, and like I said, a lot of us don't know. Sometimes we go through some episodes in our life that are trying, and maybe he felt there's nowhere to turn, and something happened. But you just gotta. All you gotta do is you just gotta send good vibes. You gotta send prayers. You gotta do everything you possibly can to just hopefully things get better, and especially for his daughter that wants to get in this business. And we'll definitely try. If Searcher says that send her my way, Searcher's going to take care of her. So that's all I'm going to say.
And that's the thing. That doesn't take away from the victim's family or anything like that. That was a tragedy, and that they lost a family member, definitely. And that's a sad moment on that. I'm not going to validate him doing that either, and he knows that as well. And I've said that to him. It doesn't mean that he should just never existed. That's one thing I don't believe in.
Yeah.
Because again, you have people that redeem themselves, in jails before with religion and everything like that. Same thing Brian's doing right now too. He's atoning to his mistakes that he did. Bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least you recognize what you did, and hopefully to get better. So, but yeah, but hopefully things do get better for him. But we're going to turn to a brighter side though now. Searcher. About a few years back, I noticed that when you weren't wrestling or whatever, you were involved with in the music scene. You were in a rock band, the Hideaways, or if it was Patrick Lee Jones and the Hideaways, something like that. But man, the skills you have on the guitar, man, are pretty impressive. How long have you been playing the guitar?
Tuesday.
Country folk music.
Well, I tell you what, I have played since I was about. Here's a funny story. My brother had an acoustic guitar, and I had a Rambo survival knife. And I got a better Rambo survivor knife when I was 14, and I said, man, you're terrible. I said, I can hear you through the wall. You're terrible. I said, will you trade? I did. I said, Jack, you need to trade me that guitar for the survival knife. He goes, deal. So I get
and
this.
Then he stabbed you with the knife, right?
Let me tell you this. So I get this acoustic guitar. Shut up. So I get this acoustic guitar and I start mucking with it. And I spent a couple of years with it. Okay. So I went to a yard sale and there was a old. I mean, we're talking old, like 1960s or no, 1950s Harmony amplifier and Harmony guitar, electric guitar. I'm like, I'm gonna be Jimi Hendrix because my main guy was Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton. That was my main guy. So I'm like, I'm electric. Muddy Waters invented electricity, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I take it home and I click it on, and you hear the humming, and I grab that guitar and I put it in my lap and I start strumming it. Nothing. I'm like, what? My guitar I just bought is broke. I turned it up, broke. So I went to a music store with my amplifier and my electric guitar, and I told the guy, I said, can you fix this? Because, I had a desire to play. I really wanted to play, and I really wanted to play electric. And I knew that was the thing that was going to make me better was the electric guitar. And I told the guy, I said, this is broke. Something's wrong with it. So he clicks on the amplifier, and he holds the guitar, and he walks over and he does the most amazing thing. He pulls a guitar cord off the peg and he plugs it into the amp and then plugs it into the electric guitar. Now, Searcher did not even understand that concept. And Searcher just realized, hey, fuck, the reason why you couldn't play it is because it didn't have a cable connecting the electric guitar and the amplifier. So I knew guitar was not for me for a long time. So I bought the cable. I was like, yeah, I'll take a new cable. I've got many of them, but I'll take this one here because I need a new one because I play so much. That was such a fucking lie. I wasn't even playing. So I go home, and I seriously could not do jack shit with this thing. So then I put it away. And I got to where I could do certain things. And I was in a couple bands, and I was really into Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix. And at that time, Nirvana was really big. And I'm not going to say the name of the band, but I was actually in a very, 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 very famous band. And before they were famous, and I'm not going to say the name of the band because it's one of those things that sometimes I'm not going to talk about. But nobody really wanted to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix. They wanted to hear Nirvana and the Indigo Girls, and what was that More Than Words song? What was that thing?
Oh, Extreme.
More Than Words. Oh, yeah, that's all they wanted to freaking hear. So I just put all my guitar shit away, and I went, and I said, fuck it. Well, then I had this very bad motorcycle wreck in 2005 that took me out for 2 years. I had 7 surgeries, 8 transplants, brand new knee, brand new ankle, metal in it was just a major. I got my leg ripped off.
Yeah, I remember that.
So for 2 years, I got my old guitar out, and that's when I learned to play. And then once I came back to wrestling, I went and did everything I said I was going to do. I became champion. Not only did I come back the way I was, I came back better, and that was my goal. But then wrestling kind of died there for a while. I'm not quite sure what happened. And then I got into Hideaways. And, dude, we were sick. Dude, we were the house band for the Backstreet Jazz and Blues Club on the landing down there by the Funny Bone for 6 months, brother. We made money. We were on radio. We did everything. I loved that band, but I was really a wannabe because I never really was good. All I ever did was imitate my heroes, and I'm very good at imitating people, you know. And unfortunately, what happens is a band is very hard to keep together. Money. I mean, at first we would go and we would play at a place for free, and we would tell the people, we're going to play it for free, and if you think we're good, pay us whatever you think we're good at the end of the night, and if you really think we're good, pay us and give us another gig. Not only will we get paid more than what we wanted at the end of the night, always, but we would get multiple gigs, and it worked. But then it got to where those guys wouldn't even go anywhere unless they got paid $100, and it was very frustrating because to see something that you love to do so much get tainted because money. And money was very good in music, but it blew apart. And it was to me, and not to anybody else, but to me, that was the greatest band I ever been in, and that was the most perfect band. And I will never play probably another band ever again because that was such a hard breakup. Because we really were doing some serious good shit. That was such a tough breakup that I'll probably never be in another band ever again.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, because I know I've seen you play, but I know I've seen you play several times. You know, when you post videos, and I'm like, man, this dude's pretty good. So, I had taking a realm outside of wrestling, and because I remember that accident too. That was right before MPW folded, and you couldn't even make the last show, and but at least it's good to find something to occupy your time. Whenever you can't be inside inside the business that you want to be in, but at least you found something else that's. Obviously you've done something very well with it. So obviously blues is, because I know you see Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, whatever, blues. So basically, the blues is pretty much your forte when it comes to the guitar on that. I would imagine.
100%. I mean, the old days, the guys always tell the stories how they would learn guitar by albums. They would take the album and they would slow the album down, stop it. Then they would take the guitar and they would hear like a note, like and then they would hit that note on their guitar until they found that note. That's right. How guys usually learned. You tuned your ear, and that's how they learned how to play guitar. Well, I was different. I had a videotape of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing live at the El Condo. And it was the most amazing performance I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody do that stuff. And then I had all these tapes of Jimi Hendrix. So I would sit with the VCR, and I would hold my guitar in my lap, and I would look at the video and watch where their hand was and how they was holding the chords, and that's how I learned. That's why I play. I really do. And I'm not saying this because you check out videos and stuff. I really can play Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan like it's, easily, and that's hard. Most people cannot play like Jimmy. Most people can't play like Stevie. I do it. I have this natural thumb thing where my thumb, I use my thumb over the neck. Most people can't do that. Well, Jimmy and Stevie both did that, and that's why I did it because I watched them, and that's how I learned it. And funny thing, I never play here. Jimi Hendrix once said that the blues is easy to play, but hard to feel. And that is so important because anybody can get up there and play, Born on a Bad Sign and all this kind of stuff. And you can play note for note. I hate it note for note. Now, I know there's certain notes you got to play so people will recognize the song, okay? But when it comes to really playing, and we call it cutting heads in the blues world, when it comes to cutting heads from the bottom, that's some more, blues has their own language too, okay?
Yeah.
So when you're really into it, you can't play note for note. It has to come out naturally and feel. And I really believe that I was being channeled by someone, Stevie Ray, Jimmy, or whatever, when I play at times, because I didn't even know what I was doing. A lot of times I was like, man, I don't know who's doing it. That's really cool. And it's me doing it, Dude, I would throw my guitar. Somehow I would throw these things, throw them across the floor and still stay in the song. I would You just had to see it. See, it's very, very hard to explain, but I wish I was a better singer. I never thought I was a singer. I used to love this because one of the best things to do is be able to entertain yourself. And when you can sit down with an instrument and sing and play, dude, you don't know how much happiness that can bring you. But when you can sit down and play and people and other people tell you that you don't know that, hey, that's really, really good, dude, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world. And I never thought I was a great singer. I didn't start really singing in front of people. I've sung my whole life until I was 40. We started the Hideaways, and we kept saying I kept saying we're going to get a lead singer. And in practice, well, someone's got to sing, and so I would sing. And they kept going, dude, we don't need a singer. Just like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, dude, no, you get. And you know what? So singing, Mick Jagger once said that singing is just like anything else. If you don't do it a lot, you lose being really good. It's like playing golf. The only bad golfers are the golfers who don't play a lot. If you play a lot of golf, you're going to be good at it no matter what. But if you play every once a month or something like that, you got up early for fucking nothing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're wearing your best clothes and sweating in them for nothing. So,
right.
You know, Searcher, you did lie.
What? Hit me.
You said that you'd never be in another band, but you're in the Searcher and Hyde podcast house band.
Well, yeah, the background. That's right. You're absolutely right. Called background noise. That's so bad. Instead of the Hideaways, like a lot of these bands will go to these bars. And here's one of the things people loved about us was we didn't have to be loud. Like I can be loud. Of course, I can play. I had this huge Marshall stacks and Fenders going at the same time. But the problem with a lot of is you play these little bitty bars. How many times have you been in a bar and you're trying to talk to somebody and you're right in their ear screaming because the band is too loud, right?
Yeah.
So we always said, we turn down so everybody can still talk but hear the good music. And we know we had it right when certain people would go, hey, turn up a little bit, man. You guys need to turn up just a little bit. And we would. And I would always say, yes, we're Patrick Lee Jones and the Hideaways, but we're really the background noise band. And that's what people want. They really want like that background noise, like soothing music going in the background, but they don't have to scream at their friend. Although I will tell you this, you single guys out there, if you want to get nucky with your girl that you don't know very good, take her to a bar where the band's playing way too loud because you got to lean in real close, you know what I'm saying? And everything you got to say, you got to put your arm around her, make sure she hears everything. Shut up. It's a good deal. It works. Hey, did I
keep in mind, Miss Hyde, that's how you came about.
Hey, Rough Cut, did I ever tell you how GQ found me my wife? He gave me the greatest pickup line I ever heard. Did I ever tell you this story?
No.
GQ, I said, dude, I'm having a tough time finding a girl, a wife. My opening line is terrible. And GQ is like, do this. Go up to her and say, hey, babe, how much does a polar bear weigh? And when she says, well, I don't know, you go, just enough to break the ice. My name is Mr. GQ.
Oh, my gosh.
No.
Sure.
Yeah,
He says no. He goes, it didn't work the other night. God dang it.
Oh, my gosh. So, we're going to be getting to the podcast here. So, Miss Hyde, you're not involved with wrestling or podcast. What do you like to do to occupy your time outside of that?
Oh, good Lord. She has more certificates than anybody. She's actually...
I'm in... I can tell my own
I know, but you forget a lot because you've done a lot.
Yeah, so I'm an ordained minister. I'm
Yeah.
Just in the last year, since I graduated from JPWA, I have started nursing school. I am CPR certified. I am actually archery trained to train other people. I'm certified to train people in archery. I go to a lot of t-ball and softball games because of my kids. I live at the ball fields at this moment. I became a teacher because my kids been out of school from COVID.
Yeah.
I am a pharmacy tech right now. I I've done a lot just in the last year.
Yeah, let me tell you the worst thing she's done lately. She
Oh.
got in the porn industry.
No, it is.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. She comes home. I don't know where she is. She don't tell me. She says, I got some pictures you want to look at. And I look at these pictures, and most of them, I mean, okay, I don't.
There's 2 categories in my phone: dad approved, not dad approved.
Yeah. She go, and you know what it's like when your daughter looks at you and says, I can make a lot of money with these. I'm like, good Lord. Wonderful.
No, she's singing the merchandise. She's singing the gimmicks to sell.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I did.
That, yeah, but no one's supposed to do stuff like that with a bullwhip. What is wrong with you, bro?
So I guess her name is changed to Miss Nothing to Hide when she goes to
That is
Screw
good.
you!
Actually,
You
that's
stole
good.
my line. Screw you!
I told her, I said, you know what? You're just a few days away from having your own. What's that? What's them websites where you call in and
OnlyFans. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
OnlyFans. Yeah.
OnlyFans. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I got one of those. I mean, no one's ever logged on to it, but so I'm there sometimes.
Ew.
I'm waiting.
if you
I'll
lower
do
your-
anything for $5.
you're gonna have to lower it to like
Funny.
$1.99, Searcher, if you want. You want to do it.
Let me. You know what? This is me and Rough Cut. This is so funny. I remember this. And see, I got like a photographic memory on a lot of things. Me and Rough Cut one time was at a resort watching people fighting Jello, beans, and chocolate. Okay, and we were doing commentary. Me and you. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And this was the best line he had. He goes, I'll do anything for $5. That's for sure. Just ask your wife. Oh my God, dude! I was like, oh my God! But dude, we were doing Harry Carey. Remember that? We were like, wow! Look at all the Jello down her pants.
Yeah.
They lost the ball in the pudding.
Oh my God.
Oh, those were good times, man. Those were good times.
Yeah, it was. So now let's talk, and I'll ask you both, because now we're going to get into the Searcher and Hyde podcast. So, how did the podcast come to fruition? Like, how did you guys decide to come up and get that started?
So I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and I kind of introduced him to the podcast world because I started listening to them. And I kind of brought up the idea that, you know what, this would be kind of fun. I mean, we got some weird stories we could share. And then he was like, yeah, we could promote, the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame and ACW. We can kind of do stuff with that, and we can introduce the world to the Hall of Famers. And then he put it off and put it off and put it off. He told everyone, hey, we're going to do this podcast, and then we just never took off with it.
Nope.
And then this whole COVID thing happened, and we sat down one day and we watched some stupid video on YouTube together, and we just so happened to have recorded.
She saw our show, Ruby.
Well, we were doing commentary over it, and we listened back and we go, oh my God, we're actually kind of funny, which we know we're not, but to us, we're hilarious. So then we started doing the podcast, and we were just going to do kind of the wrestling stuff, but we got Bigfoot stories, we got Dogman stories, we got demons and ghosts.
We just did an interview today with a multi-millionaire company that I work for about the coal industry. Bob Orton was at the house last week. We interviewed him.
He works 7 days on and 7 days off. So I know I have 7 days to prepare for 7 days of just podcasting. Because when he's off, we are recording constantly. We constantly have interviews. It has actually grown something to where he was like, I don't really want to do this, to I really like this. Let's keep doing
But
it.
I would say, how's people listening to us in Poland? How's that going? How are we in Poland right now? Because it's amazing how all over the world is listening to that podcast. And we just didn't want to be locked into wrestling because we wanted to do something that I love the paranormal. There's a lot of things into that. And I always, in every single interview I have done with, have you ever seen Loch Ness, Bigfoot, ghosts? UFOs, or Mr. GQ naked. I end it with everyone.
Honestly, a lot of people say, I ain't seen nothing, and you're just like, oh, well, that's a great story, thanks. But the last few people that we've interviewed have given us some very, very interesting stories about UFOs, Bigfoot, sea monsters.
Bob Orton, we've been wanting a sea monster, and when we interviewed Bob, because usually we thought for sure Bob was going to go, "What the fuck are you talking about? God damn it!" But he didn't. He went.
And he had one of our best jokes too.
He goes, "Well, I was going across a bridge. Well, I'm not going to tell you the story, but he actually had a story about a sea monster, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr." And then, yes, he had a great joke. Because we always ask people, because, man, wrestlers...
The joke and the paranormal stuff, everyone goes, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
And Bob hit it on both.
Well, what you got to do is, what we feel is you got to ask questions that are typical, normal questions that you ask people. But then you got to ask questions that's going to get them off kilter a little bit. To where, because you want people to relax. Because I find that people get nervous. I'm sure you guys see this too. People actually get nervous as soon in music we call it the red light panic. Like you could play all day long, but as soon as you go to record, and I've seen it a million times, red light hits because that means you're recording. Everybody fucking panics, and that happens a lot when we're interviewing people. That people really do get nervous, especially because we always go, we're being listened all across the world, and like Frank Reed, 1,100 people or whatever listen to the Frank Reed show, and then you tell people stuff like that, and they start thinking, "Whoa, I didn't know that." And you know what? It's cool. It's cool to get that many people to give a shit about three idiots if you count Rick, doing this. But we take it very serious. We take it very, very serious, and we don't do it like a lot of. We do it. I think we got more of a radio show.
Yeah, we're pod jockeys.
We're pod jockeys. Yeah, yeah. Wobble Chompo called us pod jockeys, and we just want to try to be a little bit different, and hopefully we're accomplishing our goal. And one day when you two get in the Hall of Fame, or I tell you what would be great if you two came on the show and just got interviewed for your careers now and your podcast. Like we didn't even ask you to do that commercial. We love helping out people. If we can help you out, we'll do a commercial for you, and we love that. And I'm sorry that I used the wrong name. I didn't mean.
No, you didn't use the wrong one. You used double names. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I also called you Mike Shannon, pal.
Yeah, I mean,
listen, we had to do that a million times.
At least they didn't call me Rockin' Rough Rick Ruby or something like that.
Disco rock, yeah. Hey, do you guys find it hard to do commercials? Because I find it so hard to do commercials. I don't know what it is. It's just
when I did the old way before we even did the Blog Talk stuff podcast that I did for a while. I was trying to do them, and it was weird. It definitely was weird when you're trying to give shout-outs to this or that or whatever. I recorded a bunch of them. It is weird. It's different. It's not like just talking.
We screw up all the time.
Yeah, and we screw up a lot. And we also do musical stuff, too. We add in, we do some funny ad stuff, too, Although, if you are interested in a great tonic or a gym or some meat, let me know. I got the hookup.
Oh, no.
What was that last one? Seriously, what did you just say?
Something about tonic and meat.
You haven't heard? You need to.
He doesn't listen to our podcast.
He doesn't. You definitely don't listen to the podcast if you don't know what I'm talking about. Because
I haven't yet. I was going to.
Well, you should, because it's you'll know what we're talking about. Because we do some ads. I don't know if you know this, but Brian James owns a gym. And they call him, that's right, they call him the gym guru. And I don't know if you know this, but Hawk Elliott was actually going to be a priest when he was younger, and he is a chemist, and he invented a tonic that cures and fixes everything. And he sells that on our show. And then the butcher, he owns his own meat shop, and his slogan is, "You can't beat the butcher's meat." And you can't. But seriously, ask his wife. But...
I heard. Hold on. I heard you and I saw a video with you and Blade at one time talking about can't beat the Icon's meat.
Do you know what? Yeah, I get a lot of comments about it. We were just ripping off Holiday Nights.
Yeah, I remember.
But I remember. I think it was Wicked. One night, we talked, and he goes, "Hey, man, I came across this video. Yeah, he goes, it's you and Blade. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, dude. We were
How
doing.
did you just come across
I
this
said,
video?
we were doing a lot of cocaine back then. I don't know.
And if Ruby, you haven't seen it yet, it is on the listing on the Plex server that I gave you the access to. It is in there.
Oh, is that the one? Oh, I think I know. I'm going to go probably see that before the weekend's up. But yeah, yeah.
I tell you what was funny about that video is at one time, for the WPW World Title when I won it from Curtis Payne, I put that online on YouTube, and I think within a couple of months or a month or whatever, I think it had somewhere between 10,000 views. Just my freaking match. But the problem was, underneath that fucking match was one of my best matches and most seen matches was that fucking video of us doing that shit there, bro. I was like, oh, what, someone's going to see us standing there doing, I don't know. I think Blade even said something about maxi pads or something like that during that thing. It was...
Yep.
It was screwed up, dude. That was, like I said, man. We
Let's talk about the guns for the home security and pest control and everything. And
absolutely, man. The damn pesky squirrels or neighbors, whichever one. Wow, that's my neighbor. Wow. So
We like fun commercials. Real commercials suck.
Well, no, real commercials actually pay money, dumbass. That's what she doesn't understand.
We ain't getting no money.
She's like, wait a minute, we got to do. Commercial for this where they're going to pay us money. Can't we make up one about beef jerky? No, dipshit. We got to do a real one. Oh, well, can't we put some of my nude pictures on the podcast?
Oh, my God.
No. Dude, the one you showed me, you were completely nude and in somebody's front fucking yard. And all you had was a bullwhip in your heavyweight title. What the hell? Whose front yard were you naked in? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. And if it was in a neighborhood, you're a bad girl. A bad, bad girl.
Hey, I'm making more money than you.
Oh.
hey, hold on, though. I bet you she put those out on 8x10s. I think she'd outdo anything you've ever sold in your life.
Dude, I tell you what, if I ever put out any new pictures of me, it would definitely be 6x6s. But anyhow.
3x4s.
Hey! God damn you. I told you not to look.
Wallet size.
You know what they say? Any man who talks big about his penis, he's got a little wiener. And I'll never forget, I was actually listening to a hotel room one night, and Mr. GQ was in there with a lovely lady, and I heard her say, hey, apparently you're a grower, not a shower. So let's get to work.
Oh, I got that. I didn't care.
That was the night. That was the night that girl was beating on your door all night long. She was like, GQ, beating on your door. Finally, you got up and let her out. But anyhow.
I was sleeping. I didn't want to get up. Somehow, I know I'm going to get some dirty looks from the producer when I walk out the door later.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, but I will say that I'm sorry. I'm definitely a huge fan of the podcast that you guys have done so far, because the way you guys banter, whether it's jokingly or whatever, it's always interesting. Of course, stuff always does. Like I like the game shows that you've done. Those are fun, and but that's just me personally. But I know you did one recently that apparently you're going to have a second part of. But what's your guys' each one of you, what's been your favorite show you've done so far on the podcast?
Oh man, that's a tough one. We've had so many fun, well, you know what? My favorite one so far, Bob was great because he was so at ease, because he's like, it's good to be interviewed by a friend. But honestly, I think my favorite podcast would have to be a toss-up between the Bigfoot ones. I love all those, or the Cato one. Because it was Cato. Really? He was such an interesting life. I don't think anyone's ever really interviewed him like that. Cato was fantastic. And as far as those games you're talking about there, Ruby, that was a concept Miss Hyde. She just said, let's do this game, and I'm just going to, do you know any Arnold Schwarzenegger, what movie he said this in? And I can remember the first time I did it. It was Commando, and I said, do you know the guy in there that he drops off, where he says, you said you wouldn't kill me if I told you, and he goes, I lied, and he drops the guy. Well, as he's dropping, that actor yelled, ooh la la, and I just told that little story there. And then the next thing she questioned, I told another. That was totally organic, because that's what we do now. That's the format.
He's full of useless knowledge.
Useless.
And we're finally giving it a place.
So it's not just a game. Like my favorite topics, like Bruce Lee or whatever. Not only am I playing a game trying to win or lose, but you actually learn stuff, and
whether it's true or not,
it's a concept that no one else has done. And dude, I just love every bit of them. I love doing them. I think it's great. It's just fantastic.
My favorite episode that we've done, it was our very first episode with Chip.
Yes.
There was something about that story, because it's his Bigfoot story.
Yes.
And I've known Chip for so long that I never knew this happened.
Yes. And
that I really love that episode.
Yeah, and every time you interview somebody, you find out more about them than you would ever find out. Now, I'm going to let you in on something real quick. Tomorrow, we will be releasing the very first thing weird that ever happened to me, which I think is the reason why everything's ever happened to me weird, is we're going to release a show called The Hat Man. And some people, I thought only I had seen this guy, but I found out later in life about 30 to 40,000 people has actually seen this guy around the same time I did. And the Hat Man is this guy all in dark. He's got a trench coat on, and he's got a hat on, and he's all in shadows. You can't see anything but just his figure. And he came to me as a little kid. And I tell the story of that. But here's the deal, guys. And this truly, truly happened. During the show, I have to take the show, and I take it to work. And because I can listen to our recordings, and I go through and I listen for anything I say that I have to cut out, because I always say shit and we got to cut out, And
or screaming politics.
Yeah, screaming politics, or I use a word that was okay 5 years ago and is not okay now. She tells me. So anyhow, I'm listening to the show and I actually hear a voice, because I'm talking about how haunted my life is. My house is haunted. I've been haunted my whole life. I see spirits and stuff. Well, during the show, I actually hear a spirit speak, and we recorded it. And not only did we hear him speak, but he did something else too, which I won't say. That you got to listen to the show 3 times, and we had to go back just today and add that at the beginning, and then go at the very end of the show. We play it over and over again, and we ask you what you think it's saying. But we actually caught a spirit on our podcast live. So then that comes out tomorrow.
Wow. Yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that for sure. Wow. That's awesome. Oh, yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
And if anybody has any paranormal stories, ghosts, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, anything, either, no matter how small you think it is, please go to the Searcher and Hyde podcast at gmail.com and let us know. We will interview you. I would love to interview anyone and anything about anything, but the paranormal, the Bigfoot, and all that kind of stuff, that is so huge for us. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. But so a lot of your stuff is good. And of course, like I said, I like the entertainment aspect, with the joking and everything else. And of course the game shows, especially with the, with the wrestling cameos. Hey, Miss Hyde, real quick, Pitch Perfect 2, which wrestler made a cameo in that?
Wait, what did you say?
Pitch Perfect 2. Which wrestler made a cameo in that during one of the riff-offs?
I'm hoping it's Kevin Nash.
There you go, Kevin Nash! Yay!
That was so set up. I gotta get you. Hey, will you two come on and go up against one another and me? The three of us will go.
Dude, I am so there. Dude, I am so there.
Huh?
I am so there. Yes.
I would.
That would be great. We're gonna set it up, dude. That'd be great.
And I actually have a paranormal story regarding my great aunt. Actually, a few of them back then. So I have quite a few on
set
that.
it up. We will set it up, man. That's awesome. Yes, absolutely, 100%, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, but man, you've got to. I mean, I'll be definitely looking forward to that coming out, and trust me, keep doing what you're doing with that because I'm really loving a lot of that stuff, guys. So you're doing some awesome stuff.
I I get a lot of comments for the sound effects that Rick puts in there because
Oh,
somehow he
Oh,
puts some of the funniest stuff at the right time. It is funny.
I missed the soundboard.
Oh,
yeah,
soundboards are great.
yeah, they are. Maybe hey GQ, maybe he'll let you show you his.
Yes, yeah.
You want to see? No.
Moving
Oh,
on. Moving on.
yeah.
All right, Searcher. Let's talk about your induction into the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. Now, from what I understand, it was brought onto you as a surprise during a WPW holiday party. Tell us about the events that led up to the reveal of the induction.
You know, I just knew that we were going to their awards. I did not know that they were going to put me into a hall of fame, and they just did it to like a group. All these guys that I had trained and worked with over the years, they just got together and said, we want to do something for Searcher for whatever reasons, and they gave me a ring, they gave me a little plaque, and they put me in a hall of fame. And they all got up and made speeches, and it wasn't a roast. They got up there and actually said some really great things. And the wagon wheel, they donated food there, and everybody ate. And Xavier Frost was really the driving force of that. Chip Leffler, Scar, they all got together and basically what they did was just. Oh man, I never had anything like that ever happen to me before, and it just made me feel so good that and it was over and done with. And then I walked away from it, and I just said to myself, and then right after that, Frank Reed got all of us together at that Bandanas, okay, and it was like a little reunion. You remember when Frank was giving his pictures away? Like we was waiting for Frank to say, "I'm dying of cancer. I've got 5 days to live." And this is why I'm giving you shit back. But it was such a good, what I'm saying? It was such a good night that almost everybody showed up that night. So I started thinking, man, you know what? I know some people have a Hall of Fame, but they're very cliquish, most of these Hall of Fames, which they should be because federations usually have their own Hall of Fame to where outsiders are not, even though you've done a lot or more than some, they don't want you in that Hall of Fame because there's always heat or some bullshit. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Well, I wanted something that blanket the Midwest that not only because everybody like let's put this guy in because he went to the WWE. Well, that's not always what there's a lot of guys that maybe worked maybe 6 months, but they were on shows and put up that ring and they busted their ass and they loved the business. That maybe they help raise $500-600 for an organization that helped some kids out. People won't ever give credit for that. And in independent wrestling, so many times we're in gymnasiums, parking lots, fields, and we're doing the best we can to entertain fans. And a lot of guys never get credit for it. So what we wanted to do was I wanted to share the feeling I got by them putting me into this Hall of Fame and that reunion because damn it, we never get together. You know what it's like. If you're not in the business, that phone don't ring. If you're a booker or you're a main eventer or you're in the business, your phone's ringing off the hook all the time because everybody's like, hey man, can you talk to such and such? I want my match, or what match are you doing? Or hey, what's the next show? But once you're out of the business, your phone stops ringing. Hell, Bob Orton told me that. I was like, hey, can we get some more other guys? To come in and do some more seminars. He's like, I don't talk to anybody. I mean, I don't really talk to anybody. So I wanted us all to have one time a year that we all got together as a reunion. But hell, the Moose Lodge still gets together, okay? So we need to do this, guys. Come on. So I figured we'd carry over that Hall of Fame. I changed the name to the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame so it covers the Midwest. And I'm the president of it. And we've put so many, and we've able to smother fires when people had heat with one another. We've made people contact one another that hadn't seen one another in years. We've given people last times to shine, like we did last year with Tony Costas. He got up there behind that podium and shine, and once again, and then unfortunately we lost him. We lost Ben this year. We lost Stud. We've lost Osiris. We've lost so many people. And I just want to see you guys. I love, even the guys I have heat with, which I really don't have much heat with anybody because I don't really keep that shit. I want to see you guys. I want to talk to you guys. And we have great food, and you both have been there, and we have a great time. And that the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame may be one of my biggest accomplishments that I'm proud of, that I didn't start, because I didn't start it, and I just try to keep it going. But so many people help out in that thing. It is truly a monster on its own, and I couldn't do it at all without everyone involved in this stuff. And I always get this, like, oh well, I was only a manager or a referee, and I'll never be in there. No, I got half the names right now for this year coming up, and I will tell you this. A lot of guys have said, oh man, all the older guys are going to go in. It's going to take 10, 15 years for me to get in there. It doesn't look like it's going to be that way this time. There's some shockers so far. So I hope we can have the ceremony. I hope we can all get together, and I hope everybody likes it. I hope everybody, takes it as serious as I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody, I've talked about the Hall of Fame before with people, and they said that this and that or whatever, and some people that were in the class right after you said others should have been put into that one instead of them. I'm like, no. For the simple fact is, if Searcher and them were going to prove that this is not just a good boys club, if this was for everybody in the Midwest, not just in certain groups and all that, the two main ones in that year, Frank Reed and Big Ben, proved that it's everybody getting together rather than just, a WPW people or an RCW people and everything like that. That was the only way that was going to prove that it was going to be a validated Hall of Fame at that time.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm sure, as far as being recognized by your peers, Searcher, it's, and to be surprised like that. I mean, how were you taken by that when you found out, when you got surprised by that, and what does it mean to you, with everybody recognizing you as a Hall of Famer?
Well, I like I said, I'm not an emotional person unless it's anger. You know what? I'm speechless when it comes to how that made me feel. It was that important to me. I just wanted to hug all those guys all night long. And to see people come and I think that's the thing about it, was that a lot of people took the time out of their life to come and just say thanks, and we appreciate what you did. And I said, that's what I think every man. Don't you want that? Everybody wants that. It's a group of guys, a group of people, men, women, and all that stuff. And I can't wait for our first woman to go in. But a group of people get together just to say, hey, we appreciate everything you've done. And that's the only thing I did say to one person. I said, well, I tell you, ass kissing or who won't get you in the Hall of Fame. And being Searcher's best friend, or not being Searcher's best friend, is not going to keep you out of the Hall of Fame, because it's not. We do it legit, because how we do it is every Hall of Famer gives 10 names, and then if say GQ is on like eight people's list, then he's got a score of 8, so he'll be very high on the list, and we break that down to 5 people. And then you have whoever had 8, maybe there's like 3 guys that was on 8 lists, and those guys are the first 1, 2, and 3. And then you say there's a guy that's on a list 6 times. Well, he's the next higher number, so he's next. And then say there's a guy that's on there 4 times, and he's the next guy. And that's how we do it. And then we break it down again. down, and that's how we do that. So it's not like no one's sitting there going, well, let's put this guy in because he's nice to me now, or I'm not putting that guy in because he's a jerk off. It doesn't work that way. But I will say this: if you've been a dick and you're kind of not respected in this area, that's probably going to hurt you.
There'll be a lot less.
Because the list is basically out of respect and what they mean to you. So that's why I think it's the most fair. And I didn't just come out of that with myself. I went and I checked out so many Hall of Fames when we first started this out. You'd be surprised at how many Hall of Fames is just one guy, like Vince McMahon picks who goes in the WWE Hall of Fame. And that's kind of not fair, if you ask me. That it should be. I don't know how. You got people like, say a group of 20 Ric Flair and Undertaker and stuff like that. Maybe they should have a say in it, not just one. But then again, it is his, and he does make the money on it. But I looked at Little League. There's like a major, there's Little League, college teams. They all do Hall of Fames, and I looked into how they pick their people, and I thought this was the most fairest way to do it. That way, nobody can lobby, and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and I mentioned, when you come around 2021, we'll be recognizing, the 2020 class. So, yeah. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see how things turn out, toward the end of this year, and how that comes around. So, so awesome, Miss Hyde. So I know you've probably been in the business roughly about 2 years or so. What do you consider to be your top achievement so far inside your career so far? Your in-ring career.
Graduating JPWA, 100%. I don't know anything that could top that. What could top that was if I got signed somewhere. But until that happens, I don't think something will be able to top graduating from JPWA.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I know that brought you, a great feeling of achievement. But what brings you the greatest joy outside of the wrestling ring?
Anything away from her father?
Anything away from your dad?
Taking nude pictures.
No, I have 2 kids, and I live my life for them. Everything I do to better my life and to better their life. So I really just enjoy doing anything possible for those kids. And that's my life outside of wrestling. Besides nursing school and, being leaders and Girl Scouts and also, archery and, my job. The millions of things that I do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know. I mean, apparently I didn't even know you did all that much. I'm like, dang. I'm like, does she sleep? Or
there's a lot of her school alone. I mean, when she tells me, I'm spending $800 on books, Dad, I'm just like, good Lord, I didn't know that. I mean, I bought a notebook that was 90 cents. I don't understand. That's as far as I went, I feel bad for Miss Hyde at times because, first of all, like I said, there's not a lot of talent out there, and there's not a lot of talent out there that understands how to help someone along in the business either. There's a lot of people out there just take advantage of people, especially young people in the business. But also, Miss Hyde, she's had there's other stuff in the last 2 years that she's gone through that she hasn't sold at all. And I couldn't be more proud of Miss Hyde. I am the luckiest father there is. I really am.
If I didn't take naked pictures, you'd probably be prouder.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit more prouder if that wasn't the case. Yeah.
So,
that's for sure. Of course, I don't know what's worse, her taking nude pictures or Al Stevens stalking my daughter. When a 105-year-old man is stalking your daughter.
105.
And let me tell you something. When Al Stevens sends a selfie and it's chiseled in stone because he doesn't, so because he wanted to send an old picture of himself, when he was younger. So he sent this tablet that was carved in stone. But Al Stevens, he's stalking Miss Hyde. He really is. So,
Oh my God! Jeez.
yeah.
So Searcher, how does it explain how it feels knowing that your daughter did following in your footsteps, and you actually have a second generation wrestler in your family?
Fantastic. I mean, I couldn't ask for. I just. It's
Who was the first generation?
Yeah, you're a jerk. That's probably the best thing ever. To go out there, like, she has it. Like, she's not perfect. Like, she has a long way to go in the ring. She has a long way to go in a lot of things. But one thing that you can't teach somebody is that it factor, and that is, like, when you first walk out, you don't even have to do anything, and they cheer you or they boo you. They do what you want them to do. That's the it factor, and she has that. And so that's the hardest thing for her to do. So if she gets in there with veteran wrestlers that really know how to wrestle, and if she keeps going the way she's going, dude, I think we're going to be seeing some pretty big things from Miss Hyde, because she made a lot of friends down there from, Jordan Grace, Tessa Blanchard, a lot of these people, and she can once she gets her chance to fly, I think she's never going to stop. But I do have the same thing as any father. I worry about maybe her getting hurt, or I worry about her, what can happen in the business and stuff. But at the same time, I'm just as proud as hell that my daughter chose to pick up the altar and go wrestle. And the ACW is a real family affair, as Ruby knows. My daughter, my son-in-law, my wife, everybody works in those shows. It's like a fun thing. I would say
I don't know what's fun about it.
The vibe on ACW Day shows are fun, and I tell you what, I will have American Championship Wrestling going as long as that's a fact. The day it becomes arguments, this guy's trying to screw this guy's pissed at this guy thinks he's not getting something, I'm gone, because I want it to remain good. Same with the Hall of Fame too. If it ever got to where people are angry and people starts, this guy should be, screw the rules. This is my buddy. I'll be gone. Which I don't know how I could do that, because but I love her being in wrestling. I love it, dude. It's great. I highly recommend it to anybody. I wish I had more of my buddies that had daughters and sons that got into it, because that would be great for us to all have our second generation kids having a federation. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm going to ask Miss Hyde something, though. Have you ever been embarrassed in public by your dad?
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was this one time, I love to tell the story, and I don't know if I was more embarrassed for me or him, but he's driving me to work. I'm a teenager, and I can't really drive myself, and he's really angry about this for no reason. Don't give me that look. And this guy is turning, like, in front of us. We're a red light, and he's just angry, and he looks at him, and he goes, "What are you looking at? I'll rip your throat out and feed it to your children." And I'm like, oh my God. And that guy just had a look of fear on his face because he didn't do anything. He probably wonders to this day, what was wrong with that guy?
I've never been. I don't think I've ever been an embarrassment. I mean, remember all the kids used to, like, you're Searcher's daughter, right? And
no one ever said that.
Shut up. We're on their podcast. You're supposed to say nice things about
They said, oh, you're that one guy. So
you don't have to.
Yeah. I tell you what was funny. I told Bob Orton a story about this, but it's so funny. When I worked for a school district, I was a maintenance man. I had a company truck, company phone. It's not a position that anyone can have. I was paid very well, and I would have some very technical jobs there. Okay, I was in charge of like $30,000 to $60,000 projects. Okay, not normal stuff. But the kids always called me the janitor guy. Like, hey, it's the janitor guy who wrestles.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'd be like, hey, Dad, do a backflip.
Yeah.
You do a backflip and land in the same spot that you were standing.
Yeah, but those kids wouldn't care. You know, it's so funny. He's old. What? I just so he can do a backflip. He's old. You know, and I'm like, little bastards. But anyhow.
Great. Oh, shoot.
That's another thing about the podcast. I've never been a very open guy. Like, I really don't talk much. I mean, Ruby, since you've known me, have you ever really heard me talk? Did you even know I had brothers or sisters? Or I'm not a very open guy.
But not about yourself.
Exactly. But on the podcast, I'm really letting things out that I never ever thought I would ever let out. And honestly, it's kind of therapeutic. But at the same time, sometimes there's some stories I probably shouldn't have told anybody, but I tell them. So,
well, there's some stories that get cut out.
Yeah, some stories do get cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, unfortunately here we don't have an edit unless I go back and do an audio track, but I ain't cutting anything out here. I don't give a damn. So,
if he tries to, he'll probably delete half the damn show anyway. That's how messed up he gets sometimes.
Yeah. Dude, I was listening to one of your shows, and you guys were talking, but you didn't know the mics were up, and I was like, this is the greatest show ever. This is what I like. I want to hear stuff that didn't.
Well, at the beginning of the show, he goes, "Well, I hope we're not talking over."
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, GQ was like, "Oh man, I hope we're not going out live."
Oh gosh. Well, I wanted to see what the show
would
be
be like.
like.
Joey Ryan one time. I know that went out there, and then what was a week or two later, all the accusations again. So it's like I don't feel bad now. So
well, you know, I'm going to say something about that. Miss Hyde did her first TV up in Kansas. It was a great big show. It was awesome, and Joey Ryan was there, and I hated him. I just thought that he was dick stuff was stupid and all this kind of stuff. But dude, I watched this guy, and he was very nice to me, even though at that time I was like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Well, I watched this.
You even told him you didn't want anything.
I think I did. Well, I watched this guy work that crowd and carry a guy that should really never be in the ring, carried him through what I would consider a damn good match. Mm-hmm. And he was over. And after that, I went over, I got his number, I got his name, talked to him for a long time. I don't know. I don't even know the accusations against him or anything like that. But I'm just saying my experience with him and what I saw, hell of a worker. And to me, he was a nice guy. But I don't know what they're accusing him of. I've never heard. I just know that Joey Ryan on that. Huh?
I was going to say, it goes a lot with the speaking out movement and everything for him, like making advances, taking advantage of this and that and everything like that. It doesn't even go with any. This is stuff behind the scenes, not just the gimmick or anything, though, too. So.
Well, you know, Miss Hyde was there in the locker room with him.
I shared the locker room with him. He was very respectful. He talked to me and the girl that I was working with. And there was other girls in the locker room as well, and he was very respectful. But, you never know. Just because someone's nice to you doesn't mean they're always nice to everyone, and I understand that.
Look, everybody wants to be rich or famous. And unfortunately, there are people who will steal the money to be rich, and there are people out there that will tear you down and destroy your career so they can be famous for 15 minutes. So I don't believe every single thing people are, because I'm sorry, some things people are just being way too sensitive. And I'm sorry, it's not going to last, because you can't be butthurt over every single thing. You're going to have it to where you can't say or do anything. And I'm sorry, humans are not like that. And as soon as this all blows past, now look, if someone's being bullied, which, if you have a certain opinion and you try to go on Facebook with that opinion, Facebook and everyone on Facebook will attack you. That's called bullying. Okay. Yeah. But they don't see that. If they want to go and be as freaky or crazy or whatever they want to be, you're supposed to look at that and have a big smile on your face and say, I respect that. I like what you do there. But yet, if you want to be normal or you want to just be a good person, and it's something like if you want to be religious, you're supposed to accept people who want to be I think I'm a little horsey today. And if you don't believe or treat me and call me little Nelly, you are a racist and a terrible person. And then you're like, okay, hey, dude, you can do what you want, little Nelly. See you later. I'm going to go to church. You go to church? Oh, that's just, God is fun, and God's evil, and I'll piss on your church. And why is that okay? And but you don't want to give me the same respect. And that's our problem we have here today, folks, is that people needs to shut up and don't worry about what everybody's doing, okay? You know what? Worry about yourself. Don't worry about what every Joe Blow is doing down the road, because you know what? You shouldn't. If you got a life, you know what? We live in a country where people are offended by shit that you shouldn't be offended by. That tells you what a great country we live in. You understand what I'm saying? If you're butthurt over some, like Trader Joe's, somebody called into Trader Joe's because they got a thing called Trader Jose. That's racist. Well, the guy who called in, he is white, and he got a petition with a bunch of other people who are also white, who petitioned because they said Trader Jose is racist. That doesn't make any sense, because it's just a word. But they went ahead and did that. Well, that doesn't make any sense, man, because everyone's butthurt over the littlest stuff. Man, if you are butthurt over stuff like that, you don't really have a life. So get a life, folks. But we don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want to see anybody hurt. We don't want anybody bullied, and we definitely don't want anybody to feel like they're alienated in their own country. It is a free country, and you should be able to live the way you want to do as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Man, let's all just get along and have fun and love one another. That's all we got to do.
Yep, exactly.
Everybody love everybody.
That's right. So I'm going to go ahead. And skip down to our last question here. We've been trooping it out here for a while, but what are and this is for both of you, Miss Hyde. If you got one, awesome, share it. But what are some memorable road stories in wrestling that you can share that are funny or that have stuck with you?
Oh my God, I have so many. It's not even funny. I will tell the one that I love telling about Alan, our Hollywood stud, because I love this story. It's one of my favorites.
Is this the turn?
Yeah, this is it. It's kind of famous. Hollywood stud. We lost him to cancer this year, and last year. But he was one of my best friends. In fact, he was all of us here. Best, so he was great, and he was just wonderful. But it was me, J.D. Hall, Chris Powell, and Damian Blade, and it was me, Damian Blade, and somebody else sitting with Stud in the back seat. And I told when I was a kid, I was in a tornado, and I was thrown up against a wall, and this tornado passed over my house, and I looked up, and in the middle of it, just like Twister, but long before Twister, I saw blue sky in the center of a tornado, because it was just really forming. It was more like, that funnel cloud, but it was forming. But I told that story. And then I said, then this son of a bitch in tornado went to the town and took the laundromat and the bank. It really did. The bank manager got into the vault, and he was found 3 miles away, dead. So I told this story. So Alan, Hollywood stud, goes, that's one thing, Searcher, I've never seen. I have never, ever seen in all my life a tornado. And I look, we're driving down the highway. I look over in this field, and at this very moment, those little bitty dusting, they must probably category 1 tornadoes. They're not huge, but they're tornadoes. There was 3 of them right there in this field. And I go, well, look over there, Stud. And he looks and he goes, whoa, look at those tornadoes. And everybody's like, wow, look at those tornadoes. And then he turns back at me and goes, thanks, Searcher. as if I'm the one that made him happen. As if I was like God and said, hey, God, let him see a tornado. That was one of my most favorite, dude. I got so many. I've got a million stories on as far as road trips,
See, I've traveled a lot on my own. I haven't done many trips.
You go a lot of places by yourself,
yeah. I've gone. I don't have anyone to travel with.
Yeah.
I haven't found anyone. I travel with you to Kansas.
Oh yeah, Kansas. Oh, dude, have you Dude, Kansas is like, I say this story. I've been across Kansas many times. Kansas is one of the few places in the world that if it's nighttime, if you turn your headlights off, because usually everywhere you go, off in the distance, and all of us has been on the road, you can see a light from a house or a street light somewhere off in the distance, right? In Kansas, it's like the abyss of blackness. There's
You're
parts of
right.
that you ain't gonna see nothing, man.
When we went to Kansas, I wrestled the night before. We slept for maybe about 3 hours.
Yep.
And then we drove the 7 and something hours there.
Yep.
I wrestled, and we had to drive the 7 and something hours straight back because I had a final that next morning.
Yeah.
I had to
Oh.
Yeah. And this is the first time she played heel too, and I didn't know how that was gonna go. I was like, man, she's never done heel before, and I knew dude, guys, it was great. And it's online somewhere, but I knew she had it when she was like the most hated bitch there. But then when she come back, because I was standing with the Joey Ryan guy talking to him, when she come back out to come to us, and we were up front, and he's like signing autographs and talking to people, it took her literally 20 minutes to get to us because everyone who was screaming most at her, you know, were talking to her, trying to get her autograph and pictures and stuff. And I knew she had it. So she's got it. I'm so proud of Miss Hyde. I'm so proud, and I'm so glad that we're able to do what we do. The podcast, I'm lucky. I'm just one of the luckiest guys in the world. If Mr. GQ would actually be my best friend and return my calls, I'd be the luckiest man in the world. But you can't have everything. Can't have everything.
Yeah. It's got. Yeah, he's asking for money. So, I don't know what to tell you there. If he's asking for money, usually food comps usually kind of work good for him too. You know, just don't. If you're gonna pay him in something paper, make sure that the coupons are valid. Okay, make sure they're not expired.
I only had expired ones.
What's the worst you ever been paid? The expired coupons?
Next to nothing at all. Yes, I think so. It's like you might as well just not. Might as well not have just not got me anything and just gave me a handshake and forget the hot dog. You know, just
weren't you with us that time we got paid in Goofy Golf?
Goofy Golf. Where the hell was that?
Dude, we did Bowling Green and then we did Vandalia the next night, and that day of Vandalia, I think it was Vandalia, the promoter took us to a Goofy Golf, and we all the whole federation played Goofy Golf. And later on, we're like, okay, so how much we getting paid? And he's like, dude, that's what the Goofy Golf was about. We got paid in Goofy Golf, yeah. So
you got.
I can tell you go ahead.
I was gonna say he got taken. They all got taken on a group date and got the shaft.
See, if I knew that, I told him. I said, well, if I knew that, I would have took the game a lot more serious. I would have actually made it hole in one in the alligator. I would have did that. So.
I will say the biggest payday that I've ever had, the least amount of work, was the county fair when it got canceled. You remember that one? It was one of your shows for MPW.
What happened?
The storm that came through.
Oh my God, dude, that was.
Oh my God. The midgets was Bobby and Cato in there, and
we all was holding on to them because they were going to blow away. Dude, I got news for you.
Lightning
Midgets
struck and they got scared.
Yeah,
and we're all back there. It's like shows canceled. It's like, and then all of a sudden we get envelopes like, I put on the stuff for nothing, but I'll take the payday. I'll walk out the damn door happy.
Yeah, because we were 5 minutes away from God putting the ring up. I'm telling you, dude. Dude, yeah. Dude, you know that's happened to me a couple of times in my career where we put everything up and a giant storm comes through. Like me and Rage one time, my first year wrestling, I think, we wrestled in a lightning storm and rain just coming down like you wouldn't believe. And Frank's like, whatever you do, don't walk the ropes. It's too slick. Don't walk the ropes. And I walked the ropes in the rain. And it was perfect. And then we'll go to load the ring up, and we got a U-Haul, and I go to step up on the U-Haul bumper, and I slip and hit the ground like you wouldn't believe. And Frank stands over me and goes, you can walk the top rope in a tornado, but you can't step up on
Actually, probably the slickest ring we've ever had.
I know.
Was at the haunted house.
That was an ice rink. Yes, man. You were on all those. Dude, we made a lot of money on that. Apparently, I say. I didn't own
None
the
of us
Federation
saw
at
it.
the time. Yeah, I didn't own the Federation at the time. I just did all the work. But yeah, dude, that was an ice rink. Working in that thing, literally, it was like Canadian wrestling, the real kind. You know, you just put post up on the ice and just go for it. You know, we mixed wrestling and hockey in one night. It was something. I mean, I remember the Crocodile Kid. He's like, "Oi, this thing is slick. Y'all better be careful." Okay? And he was dead serious, man. Oh man, that was some fun times though, man. That was really fun.
Oh man, yeah. Shoot, yeah. I mean, like that's an idea for you though, Searcher. For your podcast, you know, Searcher's Road Stories. Now that's at least 3 hours right there.
Oh, there's divorces that are going to happen. There's fights that are going to happen after that. I don't think that's a good idea.
Dude, I got a lot of them. Yeah, you know, that's a fact. You know, and I think I actually asked people for road stories. I would love to do a story as people call in and just tell their road stories. I think that would be great. I would love to hear that kind of stuff.
I love hearing people's stories. I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that stuff is great. I mean, you know, a lot of people don't like. There's a lot of stories about the rings breaking or trailers going off the road and into snowstorms, and just this are shows where you know guys got ripped off. You were supposed to get paid a certain amount of money, and supposedly TV was done, and you get there, and maybe 20 people's in the audience, and you're like, well, where's my $500? You ain't seen the $500. I had a promoter one time tell me for a couple of months that, well, I got Undertaker wrestling you, so you and Undertaker. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm wrestling the Undertaker. This is the most awesome thing in the world. I'm going to be wrestling the Undertaker. And it was just all bullshit. I mean, you got there and there was no WWE people were there. They just lie and lie. You hear that a lot in the business. Like a lot of guys will tell lies. And you know, in wrestling, you do kind of embellish stuff at times. I like to pride myself that I don't have to lie because I have some pretty good stories. But I have heard some guys tell some big whoppers about their careers and the things they've done. Or I don't want to tell you everything right now, but in a couple of months, we're going to be Vince McMahon's biggest competition. Oh, okay, pal. Whatever. Sure. Yeah, gotcha. You know, okay. So.
Yeah, my goodness. Well, yeah, but I think we're going to, man, I think over 3 hours, near 3.5 that we've been on.
Yeah, I got to pee, really. I really got to pee.
Yeah.
We need to end this show.
Oh, I know. I'm in the same boat with you here. But hey, everybody.
I got to finish the Quantum Leap I was halfway through before we started this. So. It's a good show.
Funny. So definitely find the Searcher and Hyde podcast. It's on Podbean, and then of course I think you're also on Spotify. And then what is there are you on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or
iTunes? We're on Stitcher. We are on Google Podcasts.
Dang.
We are on a lot of different podcasts.
We are Johnny Depp and Vince Vaughn and Donald Trump's favorite podcast. They actually said that.
Adam Sandler used to like us, but not anymore.
He doesn't like us anymore. No.
Yeah. Who cares? Get the hell out. Beat it. Leave me alone.
That's right.
Right. That's all right. But hey, I mean, time did fly, but man, I appreciate you, both of you, coming on and doing this, and it's awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and sign this out. We will be back here next Thursday night, starting at 8 o'clock, where we're going to have Luke Roberts, who's right now affiliated with Dynamo Pro Wrestling, and we're going to be talking with him next week for our next show, and we'll post more information about that. So I know GQ's got plugs. Find him somewhere, but right now I think he's trying to find a different type of drain right now. So we're gonna go ahead and sign up.
I'm still here. I'm on the camera. I'm not gonna bring that in the bathroom again.
Well, you always got that cup, right?
Wow.
Ting. Searcher, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. And Miss Hyde, keep going strong. I know you're constantly busy, but man, keep doing what you're doing. Both of you on the podcast, you guys are doing an awesome job, and thank you for coming on as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Once again, tune in next Thursday night starting at 8 o'clock. And we will be back here with Luke Roberts. Have a good weekend, everybody. We're going to see you next week. Man, 3.5 hours. Who would have bunked it? I'm out. Peace.